Chapter 126, A Storm is Brewing. Dragon Hiding Mountain was a mess. Long Yu was furious, he couldn't hide his rage as he really wanted to chop Li Xiandao into many pieces. Old ancestor, what should we do now? The emperor from 1000 years ago asked. Long Yu's face was dark and sunken. It seems like we are too low profile such that any random person dares to offend our 10,000 Dragon Empire. I didn't plan on doing anything, but it seems like I have to head to Dragon Gate to let that world crosser know how strong the 10,000 Dragon Empire is. Long Yu said coldly. Old ancestor, just us? The 1000-year-old emperor asked. Didn't the primitive demon sect leader come here not long ago? Now, he is still in Shengjing, so call him over. I am going to work with the demon faction. Long Yu thought about it and didn't feel safe acting alone. They needed to work with more people. Primitive demon sect leader stepped into Dragon Hiding Mountain. When he saw the mess around, he had an idea of what had happened. Very quickly, he was able to meet Long Yu. One of the 3 strongest experts in ancient desolate land, the protector of the 10,000 Dragon Empire. Greetings Long Yu. Primitive demon sect leader bowed respectfully. Rise. Is Motnd still alive? Long Yu said calmly. The primitive demon sect leader couldn't help but laugh and say, he is really healthy and has been comprehending the Dao. He has been living a peaceful and healthy life. Scoff. Does your primitive demon sect want to work with us to deal with this world crosser together? Long Yu said unhappily. When he learned that Motnd was still doing well, he felt really uncomfortable. This world crosser is really aggressive and strong. He has killed 3 of our Dao Saint Elders, so we have to take revenge. When primitive demon sect leader talked about him, his face turned ice cold. You all should know that he is above Saint Realm, so is Motnd prepared to help too? Long Yu asked the key question. If Motnd was willing to help, then there would be a basis for them to work together. Of course. Grandmaster said that he has rested enough and needs to exercise. He told me to invite you to work together and also catch up. He hasn't seen you for a few hundred years and he misses you. After all, only a few of you are still left from that generation. Primitive demon sect leader's words made Long Yu silent. Thinking about it, primitive demon sect's old ancestor, he and the cow-shaped nose person from Celestial Path were from the same generation. That was a glorious time when many strong people roamed the world. Each of them had their own fame and glorious stories. Unfortunately, time passed slowly. 12,000 years had gone by and only the 3 of them were left from that generation. The others either died or sealed themselves up. None of them lived normal lives anymore. Go back and tell your old ancestor that I agree. The 10,000 Dragon Empire will go all out and we will send our Imperial Army into Dragon Gate. That world crosser is there and he is behaving really arrogantly. Long Yu hid his emotions and spoke coldly. Okay, I shall return now. At the same time, I have also told the great Xia dynasty's Xia Wuxi to invite the 10 factions of Celestial Path. Primitive demon sect leader said. I will personally inform Celestial Path for them to help. I have heard about the 10,000 ancient celestial sect. That world crosser is truly arrogant. Long Yu said coldly. Okay, then I won't disturb you any longer. I will head back to gather all our strength to meet up with the 10,000 Dragon Empire and Celestial Path. Primitive demon sect leader nodded his head and said respectfully. Go. My 10,000 Dragon Empire has been resting for so long and the people have started to forget how strong we are. This time we have to show them. Long Yu said calmly. Primitive demon sect leader left. Long Yu looked at the sky, using his fingers as a sword, he pointed upwards, Celestial Path cow nose, let's do this together. That world crosser is too arrogant. We have to remove him. On a nameless peak, an old man was laying peacefully in a rocking chair. A stream trickled in the distance, the mountain snaked up and down, and snowflakes slowly fell down onto the ground. It was wintertime and this whole place looked like a paradise. The noise from afar disturbed his peace and made him frown. He muttered, everything in the world happens in cycles and there are fixed patterns. Since that world crosser has come, he won't easy to deal with. I don't want to get involved. But if I don't, then Long Yu will find trouble with me and will disturb my rest. I owe him a favor too. The guy muttered. Forget it, I will make a trip out to take a look at the scenery in the human world and meet this world crosser. If I can't beat him, then I will run. I won't force things. The old priest reminded himself to run if he couldn't win. As long as he ran quickly, he would be fine. Li Xiandao sat quietly in the bank of the universe and didn't prepare anything. He didn't have anything to plan. Battle Angel and Archangel Gabriel were cultivating and wanted to raise their cultivation to Great Saint. Tian Guangming was training too. He wanted to grasp the power of the Goddess of Light and stop being such a sissy. Wu Xianer followed behind 7 and she improved quickly too. Her 9-tail Sky Fox talent started to show. This was why, since they were all improving, Li Xiandao had no reason to ask them to stop. Fallen Angel Lucifer and Moon Angel Yuzuna went to spar with one another. Yuzuna was helping Lucifer break past the Saint barrier. Li Xiandao naturally wouldn't disturb them. He was thinking about something. Master, a guest is here. 7 suddenly walked over and said. Li Xiandao raised his head and said, another guest. This time it is someone familiar. 7 smiled. Li Xiandao immediately recalled, I don't have many familiar people in ancient desolate land and we just gave them 50 red watches. It is not possible for someone we know to pick it up, so it must be La Mo, right? To thank La Mo, Li Xiandao gave him a watch and told him to shatter it if ever came across something he couldn't solve. He was probably the one who shattered it. Master's guess is correct. 7 nodded. Invite him in. Li Xiandao said right away as he wore his mask. This time he didn't change. Like the previous time, he was wearing white clothing and that happened. It was just a disaster. But luckily, La Mo entered the Bank of the Universe without any injuries. You all really are mysterious. At home, I studied that watch for so long and found it really unusual, so I smashed it. This was the first thing La Mo said to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao was confused. What was going on? He just shattered the watch because he was bored at home? Who would shatter a red watch if they were bored? Li Xiandao was speechless as he looked at him. Then, since you are in the Bank of the Universe, what do you want to trade? Chapter 127, La Mo enters the bank. La Mo looked around and asked carefully, what do you all trade here exactly? Anything. Li Xiandao said confidently. If I don't have the thing that I want, then we won't be able to trade. Li Xiandao didn't tell La Mo that, after all, the Bank of the Universe had just started out. La Mo frowned. He was thinking carefully about it and didn't say anything. Li Xiandao gave him a chance since he helped Heavenheart to collect the world-breaking blade. He asked, do you have anything you want? La Mo thought carefully about it and said, in the past, I really wanted the people in my city to be full and well-dressed. I worked hard to help them. Now as long as they aren't lazy, they are able to live such lives. Li Xiandao nodded his head and asked, do you have other things that you want? Then, I kept thinking about letting the world-breaking blade return to the world. Now, that wish has also been granted. La Mo said with a serious tone. Li Xiandao nodded his head and asked, what other dreams do you have? La Mo thought about it and said, one more, but it is quite big. It doesn't matter whether the dream is huge. As long as you can pay the price, I will help you achieve it. Li Xiandao said. I want the high mountain race to return to its previous glory days. La Mo said excitedly. Li Xiandao blinked. How glorious was high mountain race in the past. Everyone in the world knew about them and felt proud of them, wanting to be friends with them. The high mountain race people were spread all around. Each one of them gained respect and valued their own lives. We shouldn't hide in this secluded dragon gate and live alone for the rest of our lives. That was La Mo's dream. Li Xiandao looked at him calmly and asked, what are you prepared to give up for this dream? La Mo kept silent. You need to work hard to achieve this dream. I can give you a chance for it to become real, but what can you pay me in exchange? Li Xiandao asked. Can I give up the world-breaking blade? La Mo's eyelids jumped as he said this. The world-breaking blade is a celestial artifact and is naturally expensive, but does it belong to you? Is it yours to trade? Li Xiandao asked. I can. La Mo nodded his head. The other people will agree. Li Xiandao didn't believe, I do know that they are split into many factions and their ideals aren't the same. That is okay. After I got it, I comprehended the cultivation techniques and found the road to the future. I beat up the other Dao saints and I promised to give them the cultivation technique and to unify the high mountain race in the future. La Mo said seriously. Li Xiandao looked at him in shock. He didn't expect La Mo to be so courageous of a person to unify the high mountain race right away. How many people are there in high mountain race now? Li Xiandao asked. Close to 5 million, 1 million elderly, 2 million kids, and 2 million warriors who can fight at any moment. La Mo counted. 7. Prepare a contract. Li Xiandao instructed. What are the details? 7 asked curiously. Eternal employee contract. Li Xiandao added. 7 instantly understood what Li Xiandao meant and took a contract and passed it to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao pushed it to La Mo and said, take a look. La Mo lowered his head and looked carefully at the conditions on the contract. Li Xiandao would help the high mountain race rise back to their peak. He would help the high mountain race break away from Dragon Sect and merge into the mid-plains to become people that everyone in the mid-plains wanted to be friends with. They would also be able to rise up in the 10,000 Dragon Empire to help manage the country. All of these were promises that Li Xiandao had made. All these promises were what La Mo needed and it satisfied him. Now, he had to see what Li Xiandao needed him and the high mountain race to pay. Lifetime employee. The moment he signed it, they wouldn't go against the Bank of the Universe for the rest of their lives. He would lead the high mountain race to be loyal to Li Xiandao. World-breaking blade belonged to Li Xiandao. This condition satisfied La Mo. This was a really sincere contract. If they were to follow the contract, then the high mountain race would have brilliant days ahead. How can you ensure that the high mountain race will be able to reach the upper echelons of the 10,000 Dragon Empire and manage the empire? La Mo was worried. Li Xiandao explained, Long Mixu will become the empress and she will respect the high mountain race. As long as you have the ability, you can hold a high position. Even if you don't have the ability, you can still have a good life. All of La Mo's questions were answered. He also didn't ask Li Xiandao about how a woman could become the empress. La Mo believed that Li Xiandao could definitely do it. Or rather, that the Bank of the Universe could. I've signed. La Mo decisively signed and wrote his name. Li Xiandao was satisfied. Welcome. You are now a member of the Bank of the Universe. Work hard for me and I will reward you. Yes, Master. La Mo nodded his head. He also reluctantly passed the world-breaking blade to Li Xiandao. Call me boss. You are different from them, I like it when my employees call me boss. Li Xiandao took the world-breaking blade and played with it. He observed it as he casually spoke. Although La Mo would be working for him for the rest of his life, Li Xiandao would pay him. The salary would be the great lives that the people of the high mountain race would enjoy. Those who called Li Xiandao master belonged to him, so he trusted them more. Boss and master aren't much different. 7 dist. Li Xiandao didn't want to worry about her and he acted like he didn't hear anything. Since you are my employee, then I will give you something to do. Li Xiandao said slowly. Please instruct me. La Mo stood up and said seriously. This is for you. Head to the teleportation formation that I used to cross worlds. Wait for my news and once I send you a message, tear open space, and activate the formation. Someone will cross the world. Li Xiandao said calmly. He needed the world-breaking blade to allow the Book of War to bring the army back. Li Xiandao wanted to see how amazing his Burning Legion was. The Book of War could increase their strength because they were weak and were able to avoid the laws of the world. But to come down from the 9 skies wasn't easy. The world-grade teleportation formation and the world-breaking blade would be of great help for that. La Mo kept it and said, I will definitely complete the job. Also, tell your high mountain race people to observe the area around Dragon Gate. I think an army will come to surround us. Win this and I'll be able to uphold the promise. The high mountain race can leave Dragon Gate and head to a larger world. Li Xiandao hinted. Chapter 128, An Army Attacks. Explosion. Outside the walls, 30,000 cavalries headed towards Dragon Gate. These were the Imperial Guards of the 10,000 Dragon Empire, an unstoppable army. The weakest person was at Dao pursuing Realm. The 30 of them struck using formation techniques. If a Saint Realm expert wasn't careful, they would be injured. Formation techniques gathered the strength of many to deal one united blow. This allowed weaker people to defeat those who were stronger. 10,000 Dragon Empire's reason for sending this army was obvious. They wanted to wipe out Li Xiandao and everyone under him. Apart from the 30,000 of them, the people from Dragon Hiding Mountains village had all moved out. Over a dozen Dao saints, all with unparalleled strengths followed behind this army. The invincible Dao Saint's gaze was dark and sunken. He constantly touched his wound. If not for the many treasures in the 10,000 Dragon Empire, he would still be laying in his bed. I will definitely destroy you. The invincible Dao Saint was furious, he gritted his teeth so hard that they were about to shatter. He hated Li Xiandao to the core. Long Yu looked on coldly. The main reason for bringing the 30,000 cavalries was to prevent all those under Li Xiandao from fleeing. The bulk of the battle would be fought by those who exceeded Saint Realm. I can't beat them alone, but what if the three of us work together? Long Yu asked confidently. The army headed towards Great Xia Dynasty. They would meet with those from Great Xia Dynasty here and then head towards Dragon Gate together. At the border of Great Xia Dynasty, Xia Wuxu led 10,000 cavalries and he waited quietly for those from the 10,000 Dragon Empire. Xia Wuxu gazed into the distance and looked at Dragon Sect. He saw the black soil and saw his Great Xia Dragon Finch. This time I will definitely get the Great Xia Dragon Finch back. No one can stop me from getting it. Xia Wuxu said firmly. He had lost the Dragon Finch, so he had to get it back himself, otherwise, he would be a huge sinner. Xia Wuxu swore that even if he lost his life, he had to get it back. There were people from the primitive demon sect in the distance. They consolidated the total strength of 18 sects of the demon path. There were a bunch of Dao Saints, their auras were really evil. Some exuded deathly auras while some had auras that were really righteous. They were led by a purple-cloaked, cleanly shaven old man and they waited for the arrival of those from the 10,000 Dragon Empire. This old man was the old ancestor of primitive demon sect, Motnd. Motnd looked coldly at the sky in the distance. Prepare to set off, they are here. The 18 sects were prepared to leave. In just a while, the sound of horse hooves stepping on grassland could be heard. 30,000 cavalries were moving at a quick speed. The 10,000 Dragon Empire's army was here. Long Yu saw Motnd right away. He didn't say anything and just nodded. He waved his hand. Let's go. Xia Wuxu threw his arm forwards, let's go. The people of the demon path all used their own abilities to keep up with those two armies. 3 groups of people headed forwards. In the sky above, Motnd and Long Yu moved together. Old friend, you aren't dead yet. Motnd said calmly. You demon. You are still alive, so obviously I wouldn't dare to die. Long Yu smiled and said. Why don't we decide on a time to go to hell together? Motnd laughed out loud. Long Yu nodded, right, we should call Cow Nose too. Motnd shook his head, you won't be able to. He cultivates the life regeneration technique and his lifespan is definitely longer than ours. He also loves life, even if we are all dead and are decomposing in the ground, he would probably still be moving. Long Yu thought about it and nodded his head, that's true. Where is the old priest? Motnd looked around and asked curiously. He said that he would come himself and not with those from Celestial Path. Those people are rushing there already, so we can meet up with them there. Long Yu said. Is he thinking about fleeing? Motnd suspected. Long Yu's face froze and he said, probably not, we are all attacking together. If we want to flee, then he really has no balls. His cultivation would be totally useless. Motnd was still quite worried, he said, let's hope you are right, but I am still not willing to believe him. Above the blue sky and white clouds, a priest stood still and looked at the army below. He muttered, they can even wipe out the whole ancient desolate land with this. They don't need me. If you all fail, then even if I helped, I would just be sending myself to die. This is why I just need to follow, and when needed, I will announce that I am not joining. Fighting and killing are just so gruesome. Cow Nose found an excuse for himself and then calmly followed behind. Once the situation went wrong, he would flee. Dragon Gate. As they heard the sound of horse hooves, people from the high mountain race locked their doors and hid in their homes. They received news long ago that a battle was about to happen, so they all started hiding. There were some who spread news to let people behind know that the army was here. In the Bank of the Universe, Li Xiandao received La Mo's notification. Boss, the enemy army is here, tens of thousands of cavalries. There are also many Dao Saints and they won't be easy to handle. La Mo said solemnly. Just stay beside the teleportation formation and wait for my orders. You don't have to do anything else. Li Xiandao said calmly. He didn't care about those people at all. La Mo nodded, Yes boss. 7 asked Li Xiandao, what are you planning to do? I want to scare them to tell them that I am not afraid at all. However, the plan is just to gather them up and wipe them out in one strike. Li Xiandao said coldly. Call Moon Angel Yuzuna. Li Xiandao instructed. 7 immediately informed Moon Angel Yuzuna. She was wearing female armor which fit nicely to her body. She walked in, swinging side to side, and she looked really sexy. But Li Xiandao didn't bother to look twice. That was because 7 was staring at him. Master, do you have any instructions for Moon Angel? Yuzuna's voice was really feminine, giving off the feeling of an older sister. You have no weapon now and you are the Moon Angel. I will hand this full moon to you. Li Xiandao passed the Great Xia Dragon Finch, which was now called Full Moon, to her. Moon Angel Yuzuna held the crescent moon like full moon and slowly pulled it open. A silver moon shone brightly above her head. As expected from the name, it was all connected. She pulled from both sides and a sharp blade appeared in the middle. Moon Angel Yuzuna was really satisfied with it and accepted it as her weapon. Now go kill 10 Dao saints to show dominance. Li Xiandao said coldly. Chapter 129, Moon Angel Shines. At Dragon Gate there were many stone caves of different shapes and sizes. There were vicious-looking demons, pure Buddhas, devils of legends, and all sorts of random things. Under the moonlight, the area seemed really evil and devilish. It was extremely abnormal. The army spread out and stopped around this place. Long Yu looked around. His eyesight was really good and he could see clearly. Even under the moonlight, he could see things from hundreds of miles away. Long Yu frowned and said unhappily, why are we stopping here and setting up camp? Old ancestor, we have traveled day and night, and the horses can't take it anymore. The horses need to stop to rest, and coincidentally, there is grass nearby to feed them. The invincible Dao Saint explained. Long Yu frowned and had nothing to say. The 30,000 horses had all become monsters after their bloodlines were modified. But they galloped day and night without resting. They rushed from Shengjing over to Dragon Gate, so of course, they couldn't take it anymore. Even if a Dao Saint dashed such a distance in a short time, he would have to rest. This was why they set up camp here and allowed the horses to graze. The tens of thousands of people gathered here and each of them was busy with their own things. Motnd walked over and said, we have confirmed the location of that world crosser. Long Yu's eyes lit up and asked, where? Black Soil Land. Motnd said. He is still there. Long Yu exclaimed. Right, a teleportation formation appeared over at Black Soil Land and someone saw the world crosser's subordinate there. We can be certain that they are there. Motnd nodded and said. He really is bold, is he looking down on us? Long Yu was unhappy. Motnd's expression was dark and sunken. He really is bold. At least it saves us time searching for him. Tomorrow morning the army will move forwards toward the Black Soil Land to seal them all off. None of them will even be able to think about escaping at all. Right, where is Priest Cao Nose? Long Yu suddenly thought about someone and asked. Motnd was jolted and recalled that Cao Nose still hadn't appeared. People from Celestial Path have already gathered with us. They said that he is here already, but we can't see him. Motnd said unhappily. Damn! Long Yu cursed furiously. How did this coward even cultivate to such a high realm? Motnd was dispirited. Under the moonlight, a black cloud descended and a body was hidden within. Hades, what should I do now? I have tried several times to predict the future and my predictions are just too terrifying. I wouldn't dare to head down at all. The priest sighed and said helplessly. He hid in the cloud and maintained 100-mile distance from them. Then, he hid his aura so that they wouldn't notice him. The Taoists had a technique to peek into the secrets of heavens. When he started cultivating, this was the technique that he learned. Each time he was faced with a huge decision, he would carefully calculate and ponder. Especially when there were dangerous situations, he would definitely use this technique. After 10,000 years, he had gotten very familiar and skilled in the technique and helped himself to avoid dozens of dangers. Of course, there were many times where he missed opportunities but he didn't care. Apart from this technique, he also cultivated a constant youth celestial technique. At the start, he had no combat strength at all, and even when he reached Heaven Essence Realm, he was the weakest in the realm. Also, his technique consumed the most time. Without strong willpower, one definitely wouldn't cultivate that technique. The priest's cultivation focused on not taking risks, not fighting, not standing out, and not being greedy. Just like that, he managed to outlive a whole bunch of people. He lived so long that he broke past Dao Saint and entered the next realm. At such a time, the strength of constant youth celestial technique was on full display. The old priest was extremely strong now. Of course, he knew that, but similarly, he felt that the people outsider were even stronger. 000 years of careful living and wary actions caused him to think about fleeing the moment he faced troubles. Anyway, he cultivated the constant youth celestial technique, so his lifespan would be much longer than those of other people. Even if you were to die and be reincarnated 10 times, I would still be alive, so why would I take the risk? If he wasn't forced, he wouldn't have left the mountain. Just as the old priest was about to prophesy the future, his brow jumped and he felt that something was off. He raised his head and through the black mist, he saw a person standing under the moon. It was a girl. A very beautiful girl. Her figure was insane, the armor that stuck close to her body only protected her key areas. Those snow-white legs and extremely thin waist, that white jade-like neck. The old priest was shocked. This woman was so beautiful that everyone couldn't help but look at her. Unfortunately, she wore a veil that covered her face. Who is she? The old priest exclaimed. In the next moment, he saw her raise her arms and slowly pull out a crescent blade. Creak. There was the sound of a blade coming out of its sheath. It was originally that of a crescent blade, but as she slowly pulled it open, a silver moon appeared on top of her head. Damn, that is the great Xia dragon finch. The old priest recognized it right away. This celestial artifact was extremely famous in the ancient desolate land. Who is she? The old priest hid in the clouds and didn't dare to reveal himself at all. Who is this woman? Long Yu asked. For such a woman to appear under the moonlight with the great Xia dragon finch, of course, he noticed her. Motnd was solemn, very strong. She isn't weaker than any of us. Great Xia dragon finch, that is our great Xia dragon finch. Xia Wuxu's face turned green as he pointed at the silver, moon-like blade, and raged. This was their great Xia dynasty's great Xia dragon finch. A woman was actually using it. That was just preposterous. Long Yu frowned. Who are you and what is your relationship with the world crosser? He had to ask as she was on the same level as them. She wasn't a Dao saint. I am here on orders from my master to kill 10 Dao saints. Moon Angel Yuzuna held a corner of full moon with each hand and slashed down with it. She didn't talk much and just attacked. Are you disregarding us? Long Yu hollered in rage. He pulled out a huge map and tossed it forwards. It grew huge and wanted to trap Moon Angel in it. This was Long Yu's treasure artifact, Mountain River Map. This was a strong treasure that he had nurtured for 10,000 years. Now that he was attacking, he didn't hold anything back. The Mountain River Map became huge and covered the area, blocking Moon Angel's flight path. It started to shrink, wanting to capture Moon Angel. If she fell in, Long Yu could do whatever he wanted. But Moon Angel still charged in without any worries at all. Long Yu was delighted. He thought that she was a fool to charge into his treasure space. Wasn't she just jumping into a trap? But right away, there was the sound of something ripping. Along with a streak of moonlight, Long Yu's facial expression changed. Chapter 130, The Strong Moon Angel. The mountain river map that had been storing energy for 10,000 years began to crack. Long Yu's expression changed and he stared at the mountain river map. Energy from his body surged out, lighting up the night sky. All of his energy surged into the map. Hold on! Long Yu hollered in rage. But after that cold moonlight exploded, the mountain river map was unable to hold on. Rib! The first hole appeared in it, like a small tear on an exquisite piece of silk. It was really eye-catching, drawing everyone's gaze over to it. In less than a second, Moon Angel spun with full moon. The sharp blade light from full moon sliced up the entire mountain river map. No! Long Yu hollered. His body flew upwards and he punched forwards. Emperor Dragon Fist. This was the first technique of the 10,000 Dragon Empire royal family. Everyone who had been an emperor before would have learned this technique. Long Yu was the emperor once and after he got sick of it, he passed it on to his nephew, which was why he knew how to use this fist technique. A ferocious true chi dragon roared and charged through the sky. Kong! Although the dragon roar was illusionary, the dragon's aura was still apparent. The roar caused the entire area to shake. It nearly scattered all the dark clouds, terrifying the old priest so much that he hid a little further away. Why are you choosing death? Moon Angel sighed helplessly. Under the moonlight, full moon danced. It was extremely powerful, its sharp attacks instantly sliced up the dragon. Hong! After crushing the dragon, Moon Angel disregarded Long Yu and stared at the 10 Dao saints. Master ordered her to kill 10 Dao saints. So, that would be the first thing she would do. Apart from that, she didn't think about anything else. Kill. Moon Angel didn't say much. Her body disappeared like lightning. Full moon's sharp glow targeted the 10 Dao saints with Xia Wuxu at the forefront. The endless killing intent surged towards them, terrifying all of them. Moon Angel attacked aggressively and due to her strength, all of them found it very hard to breathe. That is my great Xia Dragon Finch. Xia Wuxu was furious. Rage ate away at his rationality. The great Xia Dragonfinch that had spent so much time with him actually became this woman's weapon. Moreover, this woman was using it to kill him. Great Xia Dragonfinch return! Xia Wuxu shouted firmly. He focused all his attention on it. He believed that the great Xia Dragonfinch would remember him and then choose to return to his hands. But what awaited him was just the cold glow of the moon. Slice! Xia Wuxu's head was sliced off, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect that he would end being killed by the great Xia Dragonfinch. This was the celestial artifact that had been by his side for years. He nurtured it day and night and never parted from it. He worshipped it like it was his ancestor. In the end, it had come back to him like this. Putong! A head fell to the ground and blood was scattered everywhere. The Moon Angel charged into the crowd and started to massacre everyone. With the strength of the celestial artifact Moon Angel and with her strength, before Motnd was able to dash over, 10 Dao saints were all beheaded. The ground was covered in corpses and 10 heads were sprawled on the ground. After killing them, Moon Angel left quickly. She didn't bother to stay as she had completed Master's request. How bold! You killed them and now you want to flee just like that. Motnd was furious. His body charged forwards like lightning. Demonic energy rumbled around his body as he aggressively rushed forwards. 6 paths of demon sect. 6 giant black holes appeared around his body and they all started to spin, providing him with a terrifying aura. Moon Angel's gaze turned cold. With full moon in her hand, she turned around and sliced. Freezing moonlight. This was Moon Palace Qin family's blade technique. Qin Yu learned it in the past and the difference in strength now was incomparable. Along with the celestial artifact full moon, Moon Angel destroyed the 6 paths. Explosion! The 6 paths all exploded. Motnd was furious. He viciously kicked forwards. Moon Angel didn't back off and received the kick with a palm. Pang! A low thud resounded. Since Motnd was filled with hate, naturally he didn't hold anything back. Moon Angel rolled her eyes. She held back some of her strength and after being struck, her body fluttered away into the distance. Motnd shouted, "Not good, I fell for it." He wanted to give chase but Moon Angel had already disappeared and was too far away. Long Yu landed with the broken mountain river map. He looked at the bodies around and at the panicking army. He raged, "Damn, why is there another person who has broken past Saint Realm?" Motnd's face was dark and sunken. He was filled with rage. "Damn you cow nose! You are definitely somewhere nearby, so come out." Long Yu looked around in anger. "Hais, this is not right. That girl was the one who did the killing, I didn't do anything at all, so why are you angry at me?" The priest stopped hiding and said. He just didn't appear, allowing his voice to spread into their ears. "You are just a coward. If you had helped, with the 3 of us working together, how could we not have captured her here?" Motnd hollered. "She has a celestial artifact." The old priest exclaimed and felt like the 2 of them were mad. Even if the 3 of them managed to stop her, many people would have died. The 3 of them would definitely be injured too. There was even a chance that they would die. "The fact of the matter is that you are afraid of dying." Motnd mocked. "I am protecting my own life." The old priest didn't feel that it was a shameful thing. "You," Motnd was furious. "Okay, let's stop fighting among ourselves. After such a long time, don't you know what that old priest is like?" Long Yu emphasized and then he looked towards Motnd. Motnd sucked in a deep breath and suppressed the rage in his heart. Even then he was still quite angry. Long Yu tried to use his gaze to console Motnd. He didn't want him to let his emotions spoil their plan. Motnd knew that he couldn't turn on the old priest now, so he kept silent. Long Yu said coldly, "Cow nose, do you remember that you owe me a huge favor?" The old priest was silent. He was really troubled in the clouds. He smacked his head and muttered, "I know, but that favor will definitely cost me my life." Old priest, stop acting. You Taoists focus on cause and effect. If you don't pay me back, your Dao heart will never be perfect. Long Yu said calmly. Okay, I know. Just say what you want me to do to pay off the favor. The old priest said impatiently. Head to Black Soil Land with me. Long Yu said coldly. The old priest's heart shuddered. In the end, he had no choice but to head there to fight the world crosser. Can I refuse? The old priest was unwilling. Your Dao heart wouldn't be complete and you will also totally offend Motnd. Long Yu said calmly. If you dare to reject, then don't blame me for fighting you to the death right here and now. Motnd said coldly. The old priest opened his mouth and wanted to scold him. How could they force him like that? He was a peace-loving priest and killed little people in his life. Weren't they just making things tough for an honest person like him? Chapter 131, Heaven Heart Breaks Through. In the end, the old priest agreed because he really owed Long Yu a favor. If he didn't repay it, he would have felt really bad. Hadais, worldly matters are just so complicated. Apart from relationships, I am most afraid of favors. The old priest felt really depressed. He hid in the clouds where the breeze and moon circled him. He didn't want to head down and hang around with those mortals. In the bank of the universe, Moon Angel returned back after completing her mission. Master, the 10 Dao saints have all been killed. Moon Angel Yuzuna said calmly. How was it? How was full moon? Xiandao asked curiously. Very good, this should be the most suitable weapon for me. With it, I can kill those two at the Countless Sands realm. Moon Angel said confidently. With a celestial artifact in hand, if she didn't have the confidence to do so, Yuzuna wouldn't be worthy of wielding full moon. I believe that you can kill them. Actually, if I attack, I can kill them both right away. But they aren't the only two at Countless Sands realm. There is also a priest hiding in the clouds and he is the strongest out of all of them. Xiandao said solemnly. Xiandao didn't bother about Long Yu and Motnd at all, on the contrary, Xiandao was slightly more wary about the old priest who hadn't revealed himself. The old priest's internal strength was really strong, like that of a god tree. One couldn't see anything from the outside but the energy contained within was much stronger than Long Yu and Motnd added together. Is there such a person? Moon Angel was shocked. When she was fighting them, she didn't sense anything at all. Xiandao nodded, it is normal that you didn't notice him, even I only noticed him by chance. He is really good at hiding. He is definitely one of their trump cards. If you all are not careful, you might fall for it. Moon Angel said solemnly, what a cunning priest. This is why we need them to attack. We will just wait for them here. I too have a surprise for them. It is time for this drama to end. Xiandao said coldly. Yes, Master. Moon Angel nodded her head. She turned around and left with a cold demeanor. Xiandao closed his eyes and was just about to start cultivation when he heard a bell from the neighboring mountain. Xiandao opened his eyes and looked at the clouds. The clouds were all rumbling, and a five-colored light shone brightly, finally turning into the golden body of a Buddha. Heaven Heart has broken through. Xiandao was delighted. He had one more Countless Sands realm expert under him. Saints were split into Small Saint and Great Saint. There were 5 stages in Great Saint and when one broke through the last stage, one would enter the Countless Sands realm. There were 18 stages in Countless Saints, each representing a level of heaven and earth. Countless Sands had unlimited energy, like the flowing sand in the Milky Way in the 9 skies and 10 lands. The unlimited and endless energy represented the levels of heaven and earth. Heaven Heart was able to break through after his injury, which really satisfied Xiandao. He thought that Lucifer would be quicker but now it seemed like Heaven Heart had firmer foundations and he broke through quicker. Maybe the comprehension, when he was on the verge of death, allowed him to take that step forwards. Lucifer was a little away from breaking through. Xiandao wasn't worried about him since he had the light and darkness body and limitless potential. Thus, wouldn't it be really simple for him to break through? Let's go take a look at him. Li Xiandao had a thought and disappeared from the spot. When he appeared once more, he was in the 10,000 country book depository. In the 10,000 country book depository, Li Xiandao looked at Heavenheart, whose body was jade-like and looked like a porcelain doll. After he broke through, he retracted the Buddha golden body and sat on the ground. He activated his cultivation technique and started to cultivate demonic techniques in front of Li Xiandao. Master, help guard me. I want to merge the Buddha and the demon into one body. Heavenheart closed his eyes and said calmly. Li Xiandao nodded, no problem. Li Xiandao was baffled after he replied. Was he the master or was I his master? Why did it sound like I was listening to your orders? Li Xiandao felt a little depressed as he helped Heavenheart. No matter what, he was his subordinate, so he had to protect him. Once you break through and combine both Buddha and demon in a body, I need you to do something. If you don't complete 10,000 jobs, you won't be able to have a good life. Li Xiandao cursed in his heart. He felt like he needed to be a cold-hearted boss who squeezed his employees dry. Wang wang wang. Heavenheart was saint-like just moments ago, but now, he was a total demon. His lips had even changed to a purplish hue. Li Xiandao reached out and injected true qi into his body to help stabilize Heavenheart's soul. This allowed him to be uninterrupted and he didn't have to worry about the things around him. Merging as one. Heavenheart forcefully merged Buddha and demon to help himself evolve and improve towards an even higher realm. Li Xiandao looked on silently. He protected Heavenheart's soul to not let it get injured when both energies collided with one another. Dong dong dong. The demonic technique that Heavenheart cultivated was really evil. It was not just one lone technique, it was a technique that merged into one with the Buddhist sect technique he cultivated. It formed a whole new technique. This was self-created by Heavenheart, the Buddha demon source technique. Interested, Li Xiandao looked on. He wouldn't cultivate it but he could understand it and absorb its pros. Any cultivation had its pros. By seeing more, thinking more, asking more, and understanding more, that was how Li Xiandao grew. Explosion. When a golden Buddha and a demon lord, covered in demonic energy, appeared in front of Heavenheart, he opened his eyes. He was satisfied and said, "Thank you, Master." Buddha was in front, the demon lord was behind, and Heavenheart was in the middle. The three of them occupied one body, or rather, within the one body, the three of them existed. Heavenheart's cultivation broke through to the second stage of Countless Sands realm. He had opened the second path in the endless layers of sand. Li Xiandao couldn't help but feel impressed. He didn't have a special body, just that of a mortal. He comprehended Buddhist techniques his whole life and then gave his body up to the demon and recognized Li Xiandao as his master. He did many things that he couldn't, didn't want, and didn't dare to do in the past. Only then could he comprehend the demon path. After he was badly injured, he also learned a lot when he was on the verge of life and death. Li Xiandao was very satisfied with him and said, "Not bad, you are now the strongest among my subordinates. Now that you have broken through, you can help me a lot. To be able to serve Master is my honor." Heavenheart was really humble. "Priest, you have now become a demon and learned how to fake things. An honest person has truly become bad." Li Xiandao pointed at Heavenheart. Heavenheart smiled and said calmly, "Master has taught me well." Li Xiandao turned around and left. Chapter 132, I have waited so long for you all. The whole patch of land at Black Soil Land was entirely black, hence the name. Long Yu and Motnd brought tens of thousands of people over. The momentum they brought with them was huge, all of them were cavalry, and all of them looked cold and valiant. "Surround this place. From now on, don't allow anyone to enter or leave." Long Yu ordered. 000 Imperial Guards and also Great Xia Dynasty's army split into two. One group was at the front and one was at the back to pincer Li Xiandao in, preventing him from running away. Peng peng peng. The heavy sound of the cavalry reverberated throughout Black Soil Land. Long Yu led the Dao Saints of 10,000 Dragon Empire and moved swiftly forwards. Motnd led the Dao Saints of the 18 demon sects. As for the 10 Celestial Path sects, no one led them and they just walked on their own. The old priest still didn't appear. However, he was already here. It was just that he didn't want to show his face. On the Black Soil Land, dust flew about and covered the sky. Long Yu flew quickly and saw the teleportation formation. "They are in front. Rush over and kill this world crosser." Long Yu hollered in rage. The rage that he had been suppressing in his heart for such a long time burned brightly. Motnd took out his treasure. It was a demonic blade that was covered in a devilish, black aura. It was as if the weapon could swallow one's soul. Kill. Motnd led the charge and was the first to rush over with Long Yu. In front of the world-grade teleportation formation, Li Xiandao was wearing a white cape and a golden mask. He bunned up his hair and was just standing there patiently. There was a group of people behind him. They were Moon Angel Yuzuna, Battle Angel Michael, Archangel Gabriel, Fallen Angel Lucifer, God of Light Tian Guangming, Heaven Heart, La Mo, Wu Xiener, and Long Mixu. These were all the people under Li Xiandao now. All of them were standing out here. Long Yu and Motnd stared right at Li Xiandao from 1,000 meters away. Who are you? Long Yu asked seriously. What is your goal in crossing worlds? Motnd questioned. The huge army and Dao Saint contingent were standing behind him. They gave off an unparalleled aura and a feeling of great courage. This was the reason why they dared to question Li Xiandao like that. Li Xiandao looked at them and didn't reply. He sighed, all of you are finally here, I have waited for so long. 10,000 Dragon Empire's invincible Dao Saint said coldly, we have surrounded you. With the two old ancestors, you still dare to behave so arrogantly. Li Xiandao looked at him and said, your injuries don't hurt anymore. When the invincible Dao Saint heard this, his wound started to hurt quite a bit. He hollered in rage, you are only able to fight with words. With so many of us here working together, you will definitely die. Li Xiandao shook his head and said, even if you put a lot of trash together, it's still trash. Like when there are many ants, in the eyes of a dragon, just one spit of flame will kill them all. Just like you, I can flick a finger and toss you aside. The reason why you can stand there and talk to me and make so much noise is because I am feeling good. If you make me angry, you are the first person I kill. Li Xiandao said coldly. You, invincible Dao Saint was angry and shocked. That was because he knew that Li Xiandao was right. With his strength, it was just too easy to kill him. He wouldn't face any difficulty at all. You are just talking now. No matter what you say, it won't be of any use. We will destroy you today. Long Yu said coldly. Do you all think that you are very strong? Li Xiandao asked them. No, but we are united. We will let you know that you can't offend people in this world. Long Yu said coldly. To say the truth, if I attack now, all of you combined won't even be able to fight against me. The only one who can is the priest hiding in the clouds. Li Xiandao smiled and stated a fact. Motnd and Long Yu laughed coldly and didn't believe him. The priest in the clouds was shocked. He sensed danger heading towards him. He immediately tried to prophesy and predict the danger. If you were so amazing you would have wiped us all out right away. Why would you even wait until now? Long Yu laughed coldly. He knew that Li Xiandao was strong, but he didn't believe that Li Xiandao could kill all of them alone. Motnd was thinking the same thing. Li Xiandao shook his head, it isn't that I can't kill you, but you just aren't worthy of me killing you. Long Yu and Motnd were insulted. They stared at Li Xiandao and gritted their teeth. The hundreds of Dao Saints behind them were furious. Li Xiandao's words had insulted all of them. All of them had worked so hard to cultivate, so what gave him the right to act so cool? The key was that he was stepping on all their heads, which made them unhappy. Those who were hot-tempered couldn't take it and hollered, old ancestors, why are you talking nonsense with them? Just fight with them right away. Long Yu couldn't suppress his anger anymore and was tempted to fight. Motnd held him back and pointed at the sky, Cow Nose is not here yet. Long Yu took a look and was so furious that his nose curved. Cow Nose was not there. That old priest had an ability to dim himself such that other people wouldn't notice him and as such wouldn't think about him. Cow Nose, are you not coming out? Long Yu hollered in rage. In the clouds, the old priest was calculating the danger and the divinations he got weren't good at all. Danger! 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 A series of 9 successive dangers, all of which were blood red. This caused his heart to sink and he saw no hope at all. But the person shouting was Long Yu and that favor he had to repay meant that he had to appear. I am finished. Is my happy and carefree life going to end here? The old priest was really dispirited. The old priest who landed from the clouds saw Li Xiandao. He saw Long Yu and Motnd too. His first question was, Long Yu, it is over between us. Long Yu replied coldly, yes, we are done. We owe each other nothing. Now, fight. Motnd waved his demonic blade and said viciously, then, fight. The old priest's face was one of bitterness and he cursed in his heart, fight? 9 dangers. 9 lives won't be enough to kill me. Xiandao looked at them and laughed. He said in disdain, do you know why I gathered all of you here? Long Yu and the others stared at Xiandao furiously. The hatred in their eyes was about to turn into flames. Xiandao ignored them and continued to say what he wanted, I wanted to test my army on all of you. Xiandao grinned. He sent La Mo a message, I have high hopes for this army and I hope you all can satisfy them. After Xiandao said this, he slashed forwards. An unbeatable power exploded from the world-breaking blade and smashed the world barrier. Explosion. The world-grade teleportation formation was activated. This time it was connected to Hell Sky, and a bunch of giants, made of flames, teleported over. Chapter 133, breaking one of his arms. Dong. 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 Balls of giant flames landed from the sky. They were extremely huge and thick. The rumbling black smoke around them caused the surrounding temperature to rise. Long Yu and Motnd were so terrified that they took several steps back. They didn't dare to believe their eyes at all. If even the 2 of them at Countless Sands realm had to retreat, then the other people would have to flee as well. The horses neighed in panic. The thick flames from the Flame Kings made it obvious that they weren't easy to deal with. Dong. 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 The fireballs continued to smash down on the black soil land, lighting up the entire area. The fireballs that landed first spread out their bodies and then stood up. They held a flame sword in their hands and pointed to the sky, shouting, Burning Expedition. Behind it, hundreds, thousands, 10,000 fireballs opened up. They all held identical, giant swords and shouted in unison, Burning Expedition. The flames burned bright, turning the entire place into a terrifying flame ocean that stunned Long Yu and the others. What was this? The old priest cursed himself. As expected, the 9 danger divinations were just too terrifying. Although the 10,000 flame giants weren't strong individually, together they were extremely horrifying. Even he found them hard to deal with. If that was the case, then what would the others think? At this point, the aura of the Flame Kings spread out across black soil land. Xiandao looked on in surprise. When they left, they were all so short and they were extremely weak. Now, they were all 3 meters tall, extremely muscular and mature. They weren't weak either. They had reached Heaven Essence Realm and were able to break through to Saint Realm soon. This was already quite unbelievable. Master, thankfully I didn't fail you. What are your thoughts on my training of the Burning Legion? The Book of War walked out of the teleportation formation in delight. He flew beside Xiandao and asked for praise. Not bad, but how did they grow so quickly? Xiandao asked curiously. Of course, it is because Hell Sky is really suitable for them, and it is extremely efficient for them to grow there. Each day they are able to fight with the local beings. Along with my formation technique buffing them, no one is able to block them. Book of War said in delight. Xiandao looked in surprise at these Flame Kings. They were all his babies. Quick, greet Master! The Book of War hollered. Master! The 10,000 Flame Kings all knelt down before him. Their swords stabbed into the ground and they spoke with loud voices. Xiandao raised his hand in satisfaction and told them to stand up. He turned around and looked at Long Yu and the others. Now, do you know why I gathered all of you here? Xiandao spread his arms to bring attention to the army behind him. I want you to be the guinea pigs of my Burning Legion to see how much they have grown. Let the games begin. Xiandao waved his hand. Explosion. Behind him, the 10,000 Flame Kings started running. With the giant sword in hand, they dashed forwards. When Long Yu and Motnd saw these scenes, their eyes almost popped out of their sockets. They were unable to avoid, so they could only fight valiantly. Attack together. They seem terrifying, but they are very weak. Motnd hollered in rage. I am your opponent. Moon Angel Yuzuna flew forwards. She viciously sliced down with full moon and forced Motnd back. You, Motnd stared at Moon Angel in rage and cursed. But Yuzuna didn't give him a chance to speak at all and attacked right away. She was really quick, and with the celestial artifact in her hands, she didn't think he was a match for her. Motnd could only fight back, but unfortunately, the outcome was decided. As for Long Yu, Heavenheart was the one who targeted him. What is happening? Even monks are killing people now. Long Yu's heart sank. I am now a demon monk. Heavenheart smiled. His aura was really dark. It was deceitful and sinister. When he punched, it felt like the mountains, moon, and sun were all about to collapse. Full collapse. Long Yu rushed to block, but his defenses were totally useless against Heavenheart. Pang! Heavenheart's fist crushed Long Yu's defense and forced him a few hundred miles away. He was filled with killing intent and he continued to give chase. Long Yu was totally unable to fight back against Heavenheart. As for Li Xiandao, he targeted the old priest. If there was someone here he felt was worthy, it would be that solemn, old priest standing to the side. Why? Your plan failed, so you must be filled with regret, right? Li Xiandao laughed coldly and felt like the ugly expression on the old priest's face was because his plan to hide had failed. Now that he had been revealed, he was barely a threat. But the old priest misunderstood and thought that Li Xiandao was referring to his plan to flee and not interfere. But due to that favor, he was forced to come here, and was now trapped. This wasn't just regret. I want to discuss something with you. The old priest bowed and begged. Li Xiandao thought that he had a scheme and laughed coldly. You can try. I want to see what your new plan is. The old priest said eagerly, I will slice off an arm and you will let me go. Li Xiandao was stunned. He really was. As the strongest person in Long Yu's squad, the old priest who was hiding in the dark and preparing to sneak attack someone was actually begging for mercy. Was he trying to cheat him? Li Xiandao looked at the old priest in shock with his arms behind his back. He wasn't afraid that the old monk would suddenly attack. Why? Li Xiandao asked. These are the rules of the world. I understand. Since we came to offend you, then we are asking for it. Even if we die, it will be our fault. But I don't want to die, so I will chop off an arm and become handicapped. Then, I won't pose a threat, so can you let me go? The old priest said. Deep down, he was bleeding in his heart at the terrible loss. Li Xiandao didn't believe that such an expert would really slice off his own arm, so he didn't mind it. Okay. If you slice off an arm, then I will let you leave. Li Xiandao really didn't think that he would do so. How would he have known that as soon as the old priest heard this, he would become really emotional? Without saying a word, he used true chi as a sword and sliced down viciously. Putong! An arm fell to the ground. The old priest looked at Li Xiandao and asked, Sir, may I leave? Li Xiandao was stunned. The strongest expert in the enemy contingent. The old priest who he felt wasn't weak at all. He had just sliced off his own arm like that. Without any godly medicine or herbs, he wouldn't be able to grow another arm. He would be handicapped and his strength would be greatly discounted. This was the first time Li Xiandao started to suspect that he was wrong, that he wasn't Long Yu's trump card. An expert who he had held in high regard was actually such a coward. Chapter 134, Clearing Obstacles. The old priest was really such a coward. Or rather, he knew when to give up. He knew that since he was unable to win, then he had to limit his losses. Li Xiandao's guess was wrong, this old priest was really not their trump card. In truth, Long Yu wanted to let the old priest be their trump card, but he didn't want to. You can leave. Li Xiandao looked around. This old priest didn't want to fight at all. After he sliced off his arm, he just stood there without moving. Li Xiandao was an honest person, so he let the old priest leave. The old priest fled right away without saying a single word. Long Yu looked on in disbelief. Motnd looked on in rage. The old priest was gone without a trace. Li Xiandao muttered, such a weird person. Behind Li Xiandao, fallen angel Lucifer and the others looked at one another and found it really weird. This old priest was really special. The battlefield was a total massacre. 000 Flame Kings charged into the large army. They formed up, 10 in a section, 10 sections in a platoon, 10 platoons in a company, and 10 companies in an army. This was to ensure that the Burning Legion could still fight when they split up. When they were together, they would be pretty much invincible. 10 in a section could form up and combine their strength to attack. This allowed them to battle small saints even at Heaven Essence Realm. 10 sections striking together could clash with initial great saints. This was the Book of War's formation technique. It was extremely strong and was the reason why it was listed as one of the 10 ancient books. Explosion. A Flame King waved the sword in his hands and slashed forwards, killing 3 horses. Die. A soldier struck with all his strength, stabbing the spear into the body of a Flame King. But instantly, the spear was incinerated. The iron spear was melted down. The Flame King hollered in rage and smashed his sword down, turning the soldier into a meat paste. When the others saw this, they were totally terrified. When Xiandao saw this, he was really satisfied. Normal attacks were totally useless against the Flame Kings and they were basically an invincible army. Master, my formation technique is not bad, hey. The Book of War was delighted. Xiandao was satisfied, not bad, this Burning Legion is quite suited for you. This is all child's play. When they grow more and can activate the various large-scale battle formations, even a group of Celestials will be wiped out. The Book of War said proudly. Xiandao listened and didn't say anything. Die! A cold voice shouted. A cold moon descended from above. Moon Angel was extremely valiant. With full moon in her hand, she sliced Motnd's body apart. Demon blood scattered across the land. The faces of the people from Demon Path changed. They cried out and their hearts were all filled with despair. What made it worse was when Heavenheart used the Demon Path technique to smash Long Yu's body, killing him in the sky. On the battlefield, the Dao Saints of 10,000 Dragon Empire were shocked. What followed next was the feeling of utter powerlessness. Too strong. Xiandao had too many strong subordinates under him. Even without Xiandao attacking, they had completely lost. Long Mixu stepped up and said, Master, tell them to hold back, I will make them surrender. If I have their support, it will be easier to become the Empress. Xiandao waved his hand and said, Stop. Burning Legion stopped attacking. When some of the soldiers that were about to be killed saw this, they were delighted and looked forward in shock. Long Mixu walked out and said loudly, You only have 2 choices now, yield to me, or die. The Dao Saints of 10,000 Dragon Empire looked on with complicated expressions. They were really dejected. Did they really have to let a female become the Empress? Old ancestors, as long as you all support me to become the Empress, I will let all of you live in the village in Dragon Hiding Mountain. No one will disturb you and 10,000 Dragon Empire will continue to prosper in my hands. Long Mixu walked towards the center and made a promise. The emperor from 1,000 years ago looked at Long Mixu and sighed. He bowed and said, Greetings Empress. Numerous people followed suit. The old ancestors on Dragon Hiding Mountain bowed to show their respects. The other soldiers did the same thing too and hollered. Long live the Empress! Long live the Empress! Long live the Empress! Their shouts sounded throughout the sky. These soldiers, who were on the verge of death, were really terrified. Their fear of Xiandao was transferred over to Long Mixu. Even the great Xia dynasty soldiers all kneeled down to worship her. The celestial path experts sighed and could only follow suit. Rise! The people who have died will be compensated. The same goes for those who have been injured. Clear up the battlefield and we will return to Shengjing. Long Mixu was really satisfied, all the obstacles had finally been cleared. She would be the next Empress of the 10,000 Dragon Empire, the first person in this land. Master, let's go. Xiandao said towards Xiandao. He nodded and sent a message to the rest, go back and run the 10,000 Dragon Empire well. Remember to emphasize the high mountain race people, they will be your best helpers. Long Mixu remembered this in her heart and waved. We will head back now. Explosion. The initial 50,000 who had come was now only 30,000. They left Black Soil Land with very low morale. After Xiandao saw them leave, he looked towards the Burning Legion, where are they going now? Of course, back to Hell Sky. Their training isn't over. Only such a short time has passed. I still need to give them tougher training. The Book of War said. Great, but do you have the coordinates for Hell Sky? Xiandao asked. The world-grade teleportation formation allowed them to teleport between worlds, but it required the input of coordinates. Xiandao came from Dali Land to ancient desolate land with his subordinates as the coordinates. The Burning Legion came from Hell Sky to ancient desolate land with Xiandao and the Bank of the Universe as the coordinates. But did they have coordinates there? The Book of War said, No, but it is okay. I can fly once more. Last time I brought them there and I can do so again. Aren't they a little too big? Li Xiandao questioned. He could fly up, but these 10,000 Flame Kings couldn't be stored in any storage treasure, right? No worries, I can still fit them in, it will just be a little tiring. The Book of War said. But if they continue to grow, then I won't be able to. The world laws restrict me, so the next time we leave, we won't be able to enter so easily anymore. The Book of War said helplessly. Without any seriously important issue, I won't ask all of you to return. Li Xiandao promised. This time he wanted to see the strength of the Burning Legion. Now that he had seen it, he was really satisfied. Good, then I will bring them away. The Book of War flew into the Burning Legion and started to absorb all of them. He flew up into the sky. Li Xiandao looked at them disappear and said, "This storm has ended. It is time we clear all our debts here in ancient desolate land." Li Xiandao was going back to his roots, collecting debts. Chapter 135, Finger Heart. In the Bank of the Universe, Li Xiandao was sitting in the main hall talking to Seven. Dealing with the enemies in ancient desolate land was just a simple thing to Li Xiandao and he didn't care much about it. There was no one in ancient desolate land who could make him worry. It was time to clear out all the debts here. 7. How many contracts are there in ancient desolate land? Li Xiandao asked. Li Xiandao handed all the contract problems to Seven. When one appointed someone to a role, one had to just trust them. If one didn't trust the person, then one shouldn't have appointed the person in the first place. Seven was really amazing and she wouldn't leave the Bank of the Universe anyway. Seven said, "Ancient desolate land still has 150 valid contracts." "Just a few." Li Xiandao said in shock. "Many of the creditors died after signing the contracts, so they are useless of course. Our investments are also useless too." Seven said helplessly. The Bank of the Universe disappeared for 10,000 years, so how many people had died during that time? Those people either died from battle or died from old age. Those who were able to survive for 10,000 years would have all been experts. Li Xiandao frowned, "Doesn't that mean that in the future many of the contracts will be ineffective?" Seven smiled, "That is not the case. Dali Land and Ancient Desolate Land are the two weakest in the 10 lands. The strongest are only at Countless Sands realm. This place is like a small pond and no big fish will stay here. The one that occasionally appears will occupy half of the small pond. Thus, the other fish won't be able to survive in this small pond." Li Xiandao was deep in thought and said, "We are fishing in a small pond now. You can understand it that way. Once Master clears the debts in ancient desolate land, we can head to bigger worlds." Seven said. Li Xiandao nodded. In the 10 lands, Ancient Desolate Land and Dali Land are both small ponds, so what about the other places? Seven explained to Li Xiandao, "The 10 lands are Dali Land, Ancient Desolate Land, Cloud Mist Land, Ancient Buddha Land, Great Demon Land, 10,000 Beast Land, Kunlun Land, Red Soil Land, Eternal Land and Death Spirit Land. Dali Land and Ancient Desolate Land are the two lowest ranked ones. They have the least amount of resources and experts. Ancient Desolate Land is slightly better and has a few Countless Sands realm experts. As for Dali Land, it only has very few saints. The other 8 lands are more average. They circle the 9 skies and absorb the energy from above. This is why the other 8 lands have a much more prosperous cultivation environment." Seven said. Li Xiandao listened quietly. Now that he was invincible in Ancient Desolate Land, he was starting to think about when to enter an even stronger world. Seven helped to remind him. Ancient Desolate Land and Dali Land were the initial targets and were suitable for development. But as they grew stronger, they were no longer suitable. "Once the debts are settled, let Long Mixu control Ancient Desolate Land and we will leave." Li Xiandao set their foundations. No matter what, he needed to let Long Mixu control the 10,000 Dragon Empire and make it Li Xiandao's territory. Anyway, the people of the other worlds didn't care much about Dali Land and Ancient Desolate Land. Experts didn't care about it as it was a waste of time. Even if the weak ones came, it was okay as they wouldn't be strong enough to do anything. This was the reason why Dali Land and Ancient Desolate Land were so low in the rankings. Of the 150 contracts, how many of them are tough or problematic? Li Xiandao asked. Seven passed a contract to Li Xiandao and said, "Out of the 150 contracts, only this one is slightly more problematic." Heaven Heart and the others will not be able to solve it. Li Xiandao's brow rose up and he felt shocked. Heaven Heart was already at the second level of Countless Sands realm and even he couldn't? Apart from that old priest, someone else could beat Heaven Heart? He took a look at the contract and realized that there really wasn't any human who could beat Heaven Heart. The contract was problematic because it wasn't a human. It was a turtle in the ocean. Written clearly on the contract, Great Ocean Saint Turtle borrowed a Suan from the Bank of the Universe and will repay it in 10,000 years. The price to pay is 10,000 years of lifespan. If he breaks the contract, he will pay 100,000 years. Li Xiandao glanced at the contract, and said, "Did he go against the agreement?" 7 nodded, "He did. A month ago, 10,000 years had passed." Li Xiandao smiled, "That means we earn 100,000 years. This is a huge win." "Right, which is why I said that this is problematic. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle is so old and has been hiding in the ocean. With the Suanmu God Beast Niadain, Heaven Heart won't be able to deal with him." 7 added. "I will go personally." Li Xiandao smiled confidently. "I hope that this Great Ocean Saint Turtle can make me use all my strength." Li Xiandao muttered. 7 smiled and then gave him a finger heart. She blinked and said, "Good luck, Master." Li Xiandao looked at her in shock. He didn't expect the quiet 7 to suddenly become so playful. "You don't like it?" 7 looked at Li Xiandao's shocked expression. Her expression returned back to normal and she grumbled. "I won't do it again in the future." 7 turned around and left. "No. I like it, you can do it more in the future." Li Xiandao said firmly. 7 scoffed and was a little annoyed, "I won't do it anymore. I will handle this contract but let Heaven Heart, Lucifer, Yuzuna and the others deal with the others." Li Xiandao instructed. 7 didn't even turn her head and reply to him. What Li Xiandao didn't see was that she was feeling really shy after Li Xiandao said he liked it. Outside the walls, along with the army failing, the old priest was the first to escape. He didn't manage to get far and chose to sit atop a mountain peak to heal up. He set into the forest and took in a deep breath. 2 streaks of green light were sucked in and breathed out of his nose. He absorbed the essence of the moon and the sun and the energy from the plants around him. All the trees and plants in the entire forest were providing energy for him. His broken arm continued to grow. His flesh moved, his bones elongated, and very quickly, a hand appeared. 1 full day and night passed before he heaved a sigh of relief and stopped. Many trees around him had dried up and their essence had been totally sucked dry. When the old priest saw this, he felt really guilty and his brows rose. "I took your lives because of my injuries. I am really sorry." The old priest muttered. He took out all his god source, shattering them on the ground for the trees to absorb and recover. When the old priest saw this, he nodded his head in satisfaction, "You helped me recover my arm, so I will help you nourish your bodies. We take what we want, this is a perfect relationship." This time was just so dangerous. Luckily, I cultivated the constant youth celestial technique which allows me to regenerate a severed arm even without medicine. This is a top technique but the people are stupid to ignore it. The old priest said gleefully. Chapter 136, Great Ocean Saint Turtle. Constant youth celestial technique was a very basic Taoist technique. Very few people cultivated it because it had little to no combat strength at the start. From foundation, to ascension, life wheel, Dao pursuing, nirvana, emptiness, earth branch, heaven essence, and then saint. The person would have no combat strength at all. When one was in these realms, no matter what technique one cultivated, one would easily crush the person who learned the constant youth celestial technique. People might have even been able to kill them when they were realms weaker. Only when they reached Great Saint would they have some ability, but they would only be able to fight neck and neck with others. The time when it truly changed would be when one reached Countless Sands. Countless Sands was truly limitless. At this realm, one could perfectly show off the strength of the constant youth celestial technique. It was at this realm where the old priest's strength shot up. He, Long Yu, and Motnd entered Countless Sands realm together, and after a long while, the old priest improved significantly. But Long Yu and Motnd were still at the same spot and didn't get any stronger. That was the reason why the old priest didn't want any trouble. Based on what he was thinking, as long as he could live and continue to use the constant youth celestial technique to extend his lifespan, even the Saint Turtle could die earlier than him. So, he just had to slowly get stronger. There was no rush and there was no need for any lucky breaks. If he wasn't returning that favor he wouldn't have agreed to help. He even lost an arm because of them. But at least he managed to return that favor. Highs, Long Yu helped to keep a lookout when I broke into Countless Sand's realm. That favor was just too huge and I can't just ignore it. Now that I have repaid it with my arm, I feel much better. The old priest said gleefully. Let's just let the world crosser do whatever he wants. Anyway, in the 10 lands, no one cares about this place and Dolly Land. The old priest muttered. I have to think of a way to leave this place. The old priest looked at the sky and felt a little annoyed. He wanted to leave ancient desolate land, but the only way was to fly into the next world. But if he did that, there would be a tribulation. Especially those who were flying for the first time, the tribulation they faced would be extremely terrifying. The old priest felt that he couldn't take that risk, especially since his arm had just recovered. The key was that his cultivation was too high. If he flew, that lightning tribulation would be a really rare form. That terrified him. He had thought about flying in the past but the lightning that gathered caused him to cower and he hid in the mountains for months to read scriptures. Only after a long while did he dare to come out. But leaving will be a problem. The old priest thought about it. He shook off the dirt and prepared to leave. Crack! A red watch landed from above and fell in front of him. Beep! 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 The watch was still working. The old priest blinked, not understand what it was. After confirming that there was no danger, he picked it up with 2 fingers and took a look at it. What is this thing? The old priest muttered. I am an entrance ticket to the bank of the universe that can fulfill your wishes. A voice spread out from the watch. The old priest frowned. How fake, is this a treasure? It didn't look like one. If it was, then how could it speak to him? The old priest thought about it and picked it up. He analyzed it while walking away. It's fine, all I have is time to study you. I don't believe I can't understand this thing. The old priest muttered. He took the watch back into his manor. In the Bank of the Universe, Xiandao held the contract and tried to sense where the debtor was. Great Ocean Saint Turtle. This was the first time Xiandao paid attention to the ocean. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle had been hiding in the wide and endless ocean and didn't come up to shore. He exchanged 10,000 years of his lifespan for the Suanmuniadane. But to him, that was just a small matter. Turtles lived for so long and if he survived peacefully, his lifespan would exceed all expectations. Much less a saint turtle. Xiandao closed his eyes and tried to sense his tracks. He had to find him and claim the price for breaking the contract. 100,000 years of lifespan. Xiandao drooled for this. He was really satisfied with the 1,000 years of lifespan he acquired previously. Now, with these 100,000 years, Xiandao was looking forward to accelerated training in the time hall. I found it. Xiandao opened his eyes. He looked into the ocean, past the endless space and in the dark depths, there was a giant thing sleeping. Only the giant shell could be seen from the surface. It was like a giant island covered in dense trees and weird rock formations. It seemed really special. Kong! The giant turtle suddenly opened his eyes and stuck his head out. He felt like someone was looking at him, so he hollered in rage. A giant wave surged in all directions. Who is spying on me? The Great Ocean Saint Turtle hollered in rage. As the king of the ocean, someone actually dared to spy on him? In the Bank of the Universe, Xiandao's brow rose up. Decent strength. He is actually able to notice me spying on him. It seemed like I was wrong, the old priest isn't the strongest in ancient desolate land, you are. Thinking about it, the Great Ocean Saint Turtle had obtained the Neodon of a Suanmu god beast. He absorbed it day and night for 10,000 years, so how could he have not seen huge improvement? But no matter how much you improved it doesn't give you the right to holler at me. Xiandao's gaze turned cold. People who owe money really are acting like the big bosses. I want to see whether or not you remember this debt. Xiandao's body disappeared from the Bank of the Universe. He flew quickly, turning in a sharp sword light that headed towards the depths of the ocean. Hong hong hong. Xiandao was so quick such that large explosions broke out behind him. In the depths of the ocean, after the ocean surface calmed back down, the Great Ocean Saint Turtle looked around with a furious gaze. Who was spying on him? That person was provoking the prestige and pride of the King of the Ocean. He wanted to find that person and cut him into 8 pieces to vent his anger. He was just so overbearing and didn't allow anyone to even look at him. Hong! Just at that moment, a streak of light sliced through the sky and caused ripples to spread in both directions. It was as if that light had split the sky into half and it was unable to close back up. Dong! A person with his arms behind his back appeared on the surface of the ocean. He was wearing his robe and mask as he looked at the Great Ocean Saint Turtle. It was you. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle was furious. He raised his head and prepared to bite down. His sharp teeth could have ripped Li Xiandao's skin. Animal! Li Xiandao's brow furrowed. He used his fingers as a sword and attacked mercilessly. Explosion! The sword energy carried several threads of sword light. It seemed like a huge ocean of swords, striking down on the Great Ocean Saint Turtle. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle cried out and his giant body flew into the air from Li Xiandao's strike. Explosion! The entire ocean was in chaos, giant waves surged forwards. They were all dozens of meters high and looked really terrifying. Li Xiandao looked on calmly without any expression at all. Settle! Li Xiandao said coldly. The raging ocean and dozen-meter-high waves all stopped after Li Xiandao said this. Chapter 137, Li Xiandao at full strength. Li Xiandao slashed the Great Ocean Saint Turtle away with his sword. His body did numerous flips in the water, causing giant waves throughout the ocean. Only after Li Xiandao said that word did the Great Ocean Saint Turtle start to size him up. Li Xiandao slashed a few 100-meter-long imprint into his shell. But it didn't pierce through the Great Ocean Saint Turtle's defense. From this, one could see how terrifying its shell was. But it wasn't easy for him either. Li Xiandao's sword caused him to spin many times and he felt a burning pain on his back. He then stared furiously at Li Xiandao. Who are you? When did ancient desolate land have such a talent like you? The Great Ocean Saint Turtle hollered. He opened his mouth and showed off his sharp teeth. Who am I? Li Xiandao's lips curled up and he said coldly, I am your creditor. Nonsense, I have never owed other people anything. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle hollered in rage and stared at Li Xiandao. Are you sure? Li Xiandao mocked. As expected, he was not prepared to return it. I just snatch the things I lack, so why would I borrow anything? As for the things I snatch, they belong to me. Great Ocean Saint Turtle scoffed coldly and stared at Li Xiandao in an overbearing manner. This is why I have no creditor. Who are you even to try to collect debts from me? The Great Ocean Saint Turtle started to rage. Li Xiandao's face turned cold. 10,000 years ago, the Bank of the Universe, do you remember? The Great Ocean Saint Turtle's face froze up and he stopped moving in the ocean. But then he tried his hardest to stand up. Just one of his eyes was bigger than even Li Xiandao. He hollered, what nonsense, the Bank of the Universe? I have never heard of it. Li Xiandao laughed coldly. This Great Ocean Saint Turtle really wanted to avoid payment. Do you remember the Suan Munian? Li Xiandao had a teasing smile on his face. Scram, that is my Niadan. I am the king of the ocean. Who are you even to dare act so arrogantly here? Great Ocean Saint Turtle hollered in rage. His eyes were spitting flames and what he was most worried about had finally happened. The Bank of the Universe was here to collect its debt. But it was okay. He wasn't the weak Great Ocean Saint Turtle that he had been 10,000 years ago. He was now the undisputed king of the ocean. If he went on land, he would be the king of ancient desolate land. This was why it didn't want to pay up. After 10,000 years, the Suan Munian had long merged with him. To take it now would be to cut it out. This would be worse than killing him. The Great Ocean Saint Turtle stared at Li Xiandao in rage. He stared at Li Xiandao. He really wanted to just swallow him up in one mouthful. If you dare to sprout any more nonsense, I will show you my strength. It really doesn't feel good to die. Great Ocean Saint Turtle said coldly. He wanted to scare Li Xiandao off and act like this matter didn't exist. King of the Ocean. Li Xiandao laughed. He raised his hands and used his fingers as a sword to point at the King of the Ocean. Since you are so amazing, then do you dare to receive one of my swords? Li Xiandao's gaze was really sharp. He had used his full strength in the previous sword but he hadn't activated Big River Sword energy yet. It was just a streak of sword energy and couldn't be considered his peak strength. But now, the Big River Sword energy in Li Xiandao's body was vibrating. The great ocean saint turtle laughed out loud and his body started to shake. The ocean water around him started to splatter. I am a saint turtle. Although I can't compare to god beasts, my defense is pretty much invincible. You weren't able to pierce through it just now and you want to try again now. Xiandao stood calmly on the ocean with his finger as a sword. He pointed at great ocean saint turtle and said, since you are so confident, then don't beg for mercy later. Scoff, I will tear you to pieces first. The great ocean saint turtle hollered in rage and charged over. Xiandao scoffed coldly, you are a saint beast? You look just like a mad dog. Since you are a mad dog, then I will beat you up. Xiandao's had a focused expression. The rumbling big river sword energy in his body surged out. Big river sword slashed from the heavens. Explosion. The rumbling sword energy surged out from Xiandao's body and the sharp sword intent struck the area around. Xiandao stood above the ocean, his clothes fluttering in the wind as he shouted with a sharp gaze, kill. He pointed his finger sword forwards and the energy he drew out was like an enormous river stream. Sword energy river stream. Numerous sword energies pieced together to form a giant, surging, unstoppable river. This river itself was a streak of sword energy. It was extremely terrifying and slashed down right on the great ocean saint turtle's back. Xiandao didn't aim at the head and purposely aimed at the toughest part of the great ocean saint turtle. He wanted to make him give up, to know that the bank of the universe shouldn't have been offended. Although the bank of the universe wasn't at its peak, it wasn't a place where a small king of the ocean in ancient desolate land could come to default debts. Hong! This strike sank the great ocean saint turtle. Large amounts of sword energy smashed right into its shell. Peng 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 peng. Ang ang. The great ocean saint turtle cried out in rage. It struggled, roared, and tried its best to fight back. But it was no use. Xiandao's sword, big river sword, continued to smash into its back. Dong! Cracks started to appear on the tough shell and this was when the great ocean saint turtle panicked. Suanmu God armor. The great ocean saint turtle used his secret technique. He spat out a beautiful sight from his mouth. Under that beautiful mountain and river was a terrifying light that lit up the area. In this world, there was a mysterious scale armor. It was dyed in blood and extremely firm. It didn't look like an ordinary item at all. Suanmu scale armor. This was the great ocean saint turtle's treasure. It refined the Suanmu's drop scales until it turned into a really terrifying defensive treasure. Block! Great ocean saint turtle hollered in rage. If he managed to block the attack, he was going to kill Xiandao right away. This person had actually shattered his shell. He really deserved to die. Under the rumbling sword energy, a god armor appeared that caused Xiandao to focus his attention on it. Do you think Suanmu's god armor can protect you? Xiandao shouted coldly. This wasn't the complete Suanmu armor and was just a small piece of it. Shatter! Xiandao shouted. Thick sword energy exploded from his body. A red spirit appeared from his brow and turned into the shape of a sword. This was Xiandao's sword soul. This was the first time Xiandao used his sword soul to attack an enemy. That piece of Suanmu god armor was not enough to block at all. In Xiandao's eyes, everything had to shatter. Shatter! Xiandao's gaze was ice cold. The sword soul jumped into the big river sword, causing its strength to increase. Clang! 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 The many sword energies stabbed downwards. With their strength, they covered the entire ocean surface and constantly smacked into the Suanmu god armor. Peng 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 peng. The Suanmu god armor did not have any advantage at all. It was just a scale that dropped from Suanmu. Its defense was unable to block Xiandao's constant attacks. Kaka. At this point, the first crack appeared in the Suanmu god armor. More and more cracks started to appear. Hong! The big river sword surged in and shattered the armor before stabbing right into the great ocean saint turtle shell. Kaka! The impenetrable shell exploded. The great ocean saint turtle's painful cries reverberated across the surface of the ocean. Chapter 138, Legacy Hall. The great ocean saint turtle's shell cracked and the soul hiding within was revealed. Xiandao got close and he pressed onto it with his finger. Now, do you remember the bank of the universe and the Suanmu Neodon? Xiandao asked coldly. The great ocean saint turtle was terrified, his body was unable to move at all. With his shell broken, he was just like a beautiful teen standing naked in front of Xiandao. Totally naked. I remember, I remember. The great ocean saint turtle replied eagerly. He didn't dare to hide anything or behave arrogantly. He didn't expect Li Xiandao to be so terrifying. That one sword was so strong that he nearly peed itself. Do you remember what the price for not following the contract is? Li Xiandao asked coldly. The great ocean saint turtle couldn't say anything. He had forgotten. 000 years had passed and he had totally forgotten about all the details on the contract. Li Xiandao scoffed coldly, you exchanged 10,000 years of lifespan for the Suan Munian and you said that you would return it 10,000 years later. If you went against it, you would pay 10 times the amount. Which means that I will take the Suan Munian from you and also 100,000 years of your lifespan. Li Xiandao said cruelly. I only have 100,000 years left. If you take it all, then how will I live? The great ocean saint turtle exclaimed. Also, the Suan Munian is one with my body. Taking it away would be the same as you slashing me with a blade. The great ocean saint turtle begged. Li Xiandao said coldly, if that is the case, then I am really talented to slash you with a blade. You demon, great ocean saint turtle said furiously. Li Xiandao placed his index finger onto the great ocean saint turtle's forehead and said calmly, remember in the next life not to break contracts, especially ones that you've personally signed. No. The great ocean saint turtle screamed in terror. The Bank of the Universe's power was activated and it started to absorb 100,000 years of lifespan from the great ocean saint turtle. He instantly sensed that he was getting older and he was unable to stop it at all. The great ocean saint turtle looked at Li Xiandao in terror. But Li Xiandao was wearing a mask and the silence gave him a deep sense of fear. The Bank of the Universe sucked his lifespan out really quickly. In just an hour, the great ocean saint turtle wanted to struggle, but he couldn't move at all. His life had come to an end and his old body was floating on the ocean, waiting to die at any moment. Li Xiandao retracted his finger and said calmly, no one can break the Bank of the Universe's contracts. Hong! Li Xiandao turned into a streak of energy, rising into the air and disappearing into the sky. The water on the surface of the ocean started to bubble. The great ocean saint turtle's body slowly sank to the bottom. He was eaten by numerous ocean creatures which helped to strengthen them. Li Xiandao returned to the Bank of the Universe and washed up. He changed his clothing, took off the gold mask, and laid leisurely in the chair. Seven carried some fruits and placed them on the table. She said, I have told Heaven Heart, Lucifer, and Moon Angel Yuzuna to head out to collect some debts. In just a while, all the debts here will be cleared. Li Xiandao nodded his head. He picked up an apple and with a flick of his finger, it broke into dozens of pieces. He picked up one of the pieces and ate it. I have just collected the great ocean saint turtle's 100,000 years of lifespan and also the Suan Mu pellet from before. Li Xiandao said calmly. Then, we can unlock the third mountain. 7 surprised Li Xiandao. Third mountain. Li Xiandao was shocked. The first is the Time Hall, second is the 10,000 Country Book Depository and the third is. Li Xiandao asked. Legacy Hall. 7 said right away. Legacy Hall. Li Xiandao's brow rose. There are many characters in legends, books, and stories whom the Bank of the Universe has a close relationship with. After they die, the Bank of the Universe will keep a portion of their soul and place it in the Legacy Hall. 7 said. Then, we can revive them. Li Xiandao asked. No. 7 shook her head regretfully. She too wanted to revive them as they would be extremely strong people if they came back alive. It is already not easy that the Bank of the Universe can keep a portion of their soul. They are unable to revive themselves. 7 said. Li Xiandao asked, how much do we have to pay to redeem the Legacy Hall? 100,000 years of lifespan. 7 smiled sweetly. Legacy Hall scoffed coldly, were you thinking about redeeming the Legacy Hall when you passed me the Great Ocean Saint Turtle's contract? 7 gave him another cute finger heart and said, Master is so smart. The depressed feeling Li Xiandao had in his heart disappeared after seeing that finger heart. He sighed helplessly. I thought that I would be able to use this 100,000 years of lifespan however I like. If Li Xiandao could do whatever he wanted, he would burn it for cultivation. Then, he would definitely touch the cusp of celestial realm. 7 smiled, Master, if you did that, you would die and I would need to welcome the 10th owner. Then, I could give him finger hearts and wear beautiful dresses for him. I will call him Master and spend every day with him. Li Xiandao frowned and stared at Seven. He asked solemnly, have you given any of the other owners a finger heart? Seven blinked and burst into laughter. Do you think every one of them is as open as you? What do you mean? Li Xiandao didn't understand. The previous few owners all came from the 9 skies and 10 lands and had their ideals fixed by the world here. They didn't care much about women and didn't like it when I handled matters. They treated me as a flower vase who just needed to be in charge of looking pretty. Seven sighed. Li Xiandao said, I didn't do that. Which is why I give you finger hearts. The others don't even know what that means, they are so boring. Seven frowned and did a cute pig face. Li Xiandao smiled. She said that the other owners were boring. Didn't that mean that he was interesting? Cough cough. Take the 100,000 years of lifespan and redeem the Legacy Hall. Legacy Hall was really magnanimous. Seven looked at him and asked, are you very happy now? What are you saying? I always consider things for the Bank of the Universe. Stop being so rude to me. Li Xiandao frowned and said righteously. It seems like I can't be rude to you. Eyes, a finger heart is considered rude too. Forget it, I will go and redeem the Legacy Hall. Seven sighed helplessly before turning around and leaving. Li Xiandao frowned. Chapter 139, Zhao Wuji. Explosion. After Seven paid 100,000 years of lifespan, one more mountain peak appeared in the Bank of the Universe. This was a mountain with a very layered feeling to it. The mountain peak stood tall. From the top to the bottom, it was slanted down like a stream of water. On this mountain, there would be a tomb every so often, a fixed distance apart. Li Xiandao stood in front of the trading hall and was able to see the new mountain clearly. Maybe all the tombs contained the souls of the experts that Legacy Hall had collected throughout the years. Seven walked over to Li Xiandao and asked, would you like to go over and take a look? Li Xiandao nodded his head. Yes. I recommend you walk up from the bottom level and talk to them one by one. It will be much faster than if you were to cultivate yourself in the time hall. Seven reminded Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao knew that each and every one of them were all extremely strong people. Even if he had the all-knowing talent and could peer into 10,000 years of time, spending 500 years in the time hall alone was still less efficient than speaking to these people once. There were many things that couldn't be solved with just hard work and effort alone. You needed someone to open a window for you, to let the first glimmer of light shine in. Only then could you see the light. Li Xiandao said to Seven, from now on, I shall have a good chat with them. Help me manage the Bank of the Universe and don't call me unless there are new guests. Seven nodded her head and looked on as Li Xiandao left. She muttered, work hard. The all-knowing talent is so unbelievable and your potential is limitless. Persist. Legacy Hall was different from the 10,000 country book depository and time hall. The time hall stood tall on the peak of the mountain. The 10,000 country book depository was a book depository built into an entire mountain. Legacy Hall was at the foot of the mountain, an unassuming hall without any of the normal things you would expect to see in a hall. Like tables, chairs, curtains, windows etc. There were only 2 doors at the front and the back where the sun would shine in. In the Legacy Hall, there were many paper kites hanging down from the ceiling. They hung down from above such that when Li Xiandao raised his head, he could see them all. This place had both beautiful paper kits and also light filled with hope. The two of them combining with one another gave Li Xiandao a sense of loneliness. That was because they were the only things left. The paper kites were complaining to the sunlight. Li Xiandao walked out of the hall and saw the snaking mountain path. After just a short walk, he saw the first tomb. It was the tomb of the war god, Zhao Wuji. Li Xiandao thought about it. He had seen many historical records of him in the 10,000 country book depository. The invincible war god from 30,000 years ago. With one spear, he made the 9 skies and 10 lands bow down to him. Li Xiandao muttered. I didn't expect my reputation to still be so strong after so many years. A melancholic voice rang out in Li Xiandao's ears. Li Xiandao's expression didn't change. He turned around and saw a phantom. Zhao Wuji. Even if he was a phantom, one could tell that he had been extremely strong in the past. He had a burly build, and was dressed really simply in just hemp clothes and canvas shoes. Many records mention you. Li Xiandao nodded his head and said. You are the new owner of the Bank of the Universe? Zhao Wuji asked. Li Xiandao nodded his head and looked at him. Can I even catch your eye? You are at least stronger than the last one. Zhao Wudi was quite satisfied. Even if the person standing in front of him was handicapped or mentally challenged, he would still think he was stronger than the last owner. Li Xiandao smiled. Seems like I am decent. Do you know what happened after the last owner came to Legacy Hall to find me? Zhao Wudi asked. Li Xiandao thought about it. With the personality of the last owner, what kind of thing could have possibly happened? Did he dig out your tomb? Li Xiandao joked. Zhao Wudi was shocked and said, how do you know? Li Xiandao exclaimed, he really did that. Zhao Wudi nodded his head with a cold smile. It seems like you have a good understanding of him, otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to guess that. Li Xiandao was speechless. Why did that owner dig up someone's tomb for no reason? I am suffering greatly cleaning up the mess he left behind. I am just helping to wipe his ass wherever I go. Li Xiandao was annoyed. That dog messed about every day and finally died. The only unfortunate thing was that he almost destroyed the Bank of the Universe. Zhao Wudi said with much regret. Without destruction, there will be no construction. My goal is to build up the Bank of the Universe and restore it to its former glory. Li Xiandao said firmly. Not bad, you have ambition. Do you want to learn spear techniques from me? Zhao Wudi praised Li Xiandao's attitude and took the initiative to propose. Li Xiandao shook his head and said, I don't want to learn your spear technique, but your Dao. Li Xiandao's cultivation method was different. Even when he cultivated the big river sword, he didn't follow the initial technique and instead tried to explore and create his own sword technique. Although his sword technique was still mostly that of the big river sword, there was still a huge difference between them. This was because Li Xiandao didn't like to follow the status quo. He cultivated really quickly and would often take 3 steps forwards before taking a look at the path he was walking on. If he took the wrong path, he wouldn't change and would continue on the wrong path. This was why Li Xiandao modified the big river sword energy a lot. The original big river sword energy didn't have a sword soul, but Li Xiandao felt like his sword path was one that merged with that of heaven and earth, so his sword soul would have to as well. As a result, Li Xiandao didn't like blindly following the techniques of others. He just needed people to give him advice at the crucial moment. Zhao Wudi looked at Li Xiandao with praise in his eyes. You are really ambitious. I will let you see my Dao. Zhao Wudi flicked with his finger and accurately hit the area between Li Xiandao's eyebrows. Hong! Li Xiandao didn't try to block it. His soul instantly fell into an empty space. Zhao Wudi held a spear in this space and gave off an unparalleled aura. He was of the same cultivation realm as Li Xiandao and started to attack him. Li Xiandao didn't say anything, forming an illusionary sword to battle against Zhao Wudi. This was a mental battle and Li Xiandao's body was still standing in front of Zhao Wudi's tomb on the outside. Behind him, Zhao Wudi's phantom had disappeared. In the empty space, Li Xiandao used the big river sword energy at full force. At the same time, he was trying to absorb and learn Zhao Wudi's Dao. The many books he saw in the 10,000 country book depository started to appear, making him split his attention into 3 to comprehend all of them. This was the terrifying all-knowing talent. After fighting with Zhao Wudi for 15 minutes, Li Xiandao understood his Dao completely and absorbed the portion that was suitable for himself. After which, he defeated Zhao Wudi and ended the battle. In the outside world, Li Xiandao opened his eyes. Many bits of complicated information surged in and only after a long while did he finally calm back down. Zhao Wudi said, your talent is really terrifying. You have already sucked me dry. You should find someone else, I have to rest now. Li Xiandao looked towards the other tombs and walked forwards. Chapter 140, Sword God. Li Xiandao continued to search for the second tomb. He was really quick and the second tomb was quite compatible with him. Sword God. He was also an unbelievably strong cultivator from over 30,000 years ago, and was from the same era as Zhao Wudi. Unfortunately, the Sword God was at his peak only for a very short time. He charged into the celestial world and killed many experts before he himself was finally killed. Zhao Wudi, the war god, didn't have a battle with the sword god. Now, they were laying on this mountain less than 1,000 apart from one another, and were able to speak through the air. Li Xiandao was filled with more anticipation for this sword god compared to Zhao Wudi as he too used the sword. He really wanted to know how amazing the sword god who reached celestial world was. Sword god's tomb was really simple, it was just a tombstone on a hill. In front of it were several blooming flowers that swung along with the wind. Li Xiandao stood in front of the tomb and he felt an extremely terrifying sword energy. The aura overwhelmed him and sent a chill down his spine. When it pierced through Li Xiandao's body, it didn't leave a mark at all. You cultivate the sword too? Sword God's remnant soul appeared and he asked curiously. The sword god was a thin old man whose hair was in a bun. His eyes shone brightly and he stood with his hands behind his back. Li Xiandao nodded his head and said, Big River Sword. Sword God understood and said, I have heard of it before. A great cultivator created it while admiring the celestial world's Milky Way and it has a deeper meaning of the sword coming from the heavens. Li Xiandao looked at Sword God and asked, What sword do you train in? Me. Sword God's lips curled up, a sword that kills. A will to fight appeared in Li Xiandao's eyes and he said, Can you show it to me? It might kill you. Sword God said. I am not afraid. Li Xiandao smiled and said confidently. Okay, then bring it on. Sword God nodded his head in satisfaction and then stepped out. Hong! At that instant, the mountain collapsed, the oceans parted, the earth split, and a hole appeared in the air. Numerous streaks of sword energy surged out like hell demons and dragged Li Xiandao down. Li Xiandao was caught off guard, his eyes blacked out, and after spitting out a mouthful of blood, he took a step back. You are dead. Sword God said calmly. Li Xiandao looked at the sword that pierced his heart and through his body. Suddenly, a bone-deep pain swept his entire body. Li Xiandao muttered, So, this is what death feels like. How terrifying. Sword God stood tall with his arms behind his back. He just looked calmly at Li Xiandao without much care at all. Li Xiandao slowly pulled the sword out from his heart. He then saw how it started to fade and disappear. Continue. I will only kill you 9 times today. As for how much you can comprehend, it will depend on you. Sword God said calmly. Li Xiandao nodded his head. He didn't care about his injuries and looked at Sword God with determination. Second sword. Sword God took another step forwards. Hong! A similar scene appeared. It was extremely terrifying, but since Li Xiandao had experienced it before, he didn't fear anything. Kaka! Li Xiandao used his hand as a sword, closed his eyes, and slashed forwards. He directly shattered the attack. Sword God looked at Li Xiandao in shock and didn't understand what was going on. How did you comprehend it so quickly? This sword has the same foundations as the previous one but the technique is different. It is impossible that you even noticed it, much less blocked it. Li Xiandao said calmly, that is because the same move is ineffective against me. Sword God frowned. This time he pulled out his sword and did a simple stab. This strike was the move that Sword God used the most in his entire life. It was also his most ordinary strike. Who knew how many people had died to it? This sword condensed the Sword God's sword intent, the madness of someone who covered the world in death and killing, the persistence in not ending a battle until either he or the opponent died. Li Xiandao saw it all. He couldn't block it. Li Xiandao stabbed his sword out at the same time, but Sword God's sword was faster, stronger, and even more fierce. Slice! Li Xiandao's heart was pierced once more. He was dead once again. Sword God looked calmly as Li Xiandao pulled out and shattered the sword energy in his body. His heart was stabbed twice and he didn't bother to heal it. He just left it there, the pain reaching deep into his bones. However, Li Xiandao didn't even frown or exhale in pain. He looked at Sword God. His expression was really calm but the sword energy around him had turned into its physical form. The sword energy was like sharp blades, giving off a threatening aura. It was the same thing for Sword God. He realized that Li Xiandao was a respectable person and his determination was something that a normal person wouldn't have had. I attacked 3 times and killed you twice. I have already said that I will kill you 9 times. Sword God said. Li Xiandao shook his head and said, that is not going to happen. Sword God frowned as he looked at Li Xiandao. I have understood most of your sword Dao from that sword. Whatever you do next, you will not be able to kill me. Instead, I will be killing you once. Li Xiandao said confidently. Sword God looked at Li Xiandao with a weird expression and felt that he was telling a lame joke and was just trying to make him laugh. However, he noticed that Li Xiandao was serious and was prepared to prove it. Since you are so confident, then try your best. Sword God was enraged. Li Xiandao was just too arrogant. Li Xiandao didn't explain anything. He had fully comprehended it, so there was nothing else he had to say to him. When he killed him, he would believe that his sword had been fully comprehended. He casually picked up a piece of sword energy beside him, took a simple step, and slashed forwards. Sword God stabbed him just now. It was time for him to slash the sword god. Stabs and slashes were all very common in sword fighting. Normal kids could even do those moves with wooden swords. When they reached Li Xiandao and sword god's level, they would still be using the same moves. That was because the Tao's simplest form couldn't break away from those few basic moves. Li Xiandao's slash and sword god's stab were different, but in essence, they were exactly the same. That was because Li Xiandao used the same thing that sword god used, that madness of someone who covered the world in death and killing, the persistence in not ending a battle until either he or the opponent died. Li Xiandao's perfect replication further added to his comprehension of the technique. For me to slash you is your honor. You are unable to dodge it and to die from it is a blessing. This was how overbearing Li Xiandao was. Sword God was shocked and retreated. All the sword energy around his body shot out and tried to block Li Xiandao. But Li Xiandao was not a person who he could block. The magical aura that turned the world on its head was perfectly displayed in Li Xiandao's body. Slice. Li Xiandao was extremely quick. Before Sword God's sword energy even reached him, he slashed towards Sword God's chest. One hand was holding his sword and the other was pushing the sword handle down to slash forwards. Sword God looked at Li Xiandao in shock. He didn't expect that in just 3 short attacks, Li Xiandao would be able to comprehend the sword intent and sword Dao he took his whole life to understand. Li Xiandao placed the sword energy down and continued to walk up the mountain. Sword God was of no help to him anymore. Li Xiandao suddenly felt that the Celestials in Celestial World were too weak to be so easily massacred by Sword God's attacks. As for him, he was able to understand and counter Sword God's attacks in just such a short time. Chapter 141, Old Monk Comes to Visit. On the side of the Legacy Hall mountain peak, Li Xiandao was slowly moving upwards. At the 10,000 Dragon Empire, Long Mixu was starting to ascend to the throne. She became the first empress in the history of ancient desolate land. This first-time occurrence brought with it a lot of discussion and debate. The Confucians cursed her so badly, like she had dug out the graves of their ancestors. Even when the head of scholars stood out and openly supported Long Mixu, he was only able to slightly suppress them. There were even many who scolded Sage Zhang for doing that. Long Mixu didn't take all these comments to heart. No matter how the Confucians scolded her, as long as she had control of the army and the policy making, they still had to work for her. Starting classes, organizing imperial examinations, and selecting talents, just to mention a few of the things they had to do. Long Mixu sent out a series of policies really quickly and helped to shut up the mouths of many of the Confucians. Compared to the Confucians scolding her, she was more worried about the royal family. To handle this, she was merciless and killed all the useless children in the royal family. Everyone in the royal family, those who didn't join her cause, those who did evil things, those who harmed the people, were all killed. Her series of killings shocked everyone. No one expected Long Mixu to turn her blade on her family members right after she took the throne. 100,000 royal family members were killed. Their houses were searched and possessions confiscated, collecting close to 10 years of 10,000 Dragon Empire taxes. Her actions rendered all the officials and generals speechless. Since they had committed so many sins and there was enough evidence, all of them were killed. Long Mixu's second action was targeted at the officials, their children, and their loved ones. Those who cheated on their partners, extorted money, participated in corruption, and took bribes, all of them were killed. With the army under her control, the old ancestors on Dragon Hiding Mountain didn't dare to interfere. Long Mixu let the army take over Shengjing and she started to give order after order. All of a sudden, all the officials and generals were terrified. All of them started to draw lines to separate themselves from each other and also to protect themselves. These 2 moves cleared out the entire nation and filled up Long Mixu's coffers. She was able to get a few decades worth of taxes, which made all the policies she was planning to lay out feasible. Her third move was to pardon everyone, releasing all the civilians who were suffering in jails and helping to clear them of misjudged crimes. After these series of moves, Long Mixu had full control of the 10,000 Dragon Empire. The public opinion of her instantly changed and they started to worship her. Long Mixu gained the praise of all the officials and generals and her position was solidified. Of course, some were worried that she would marry other guys and that the kid would take over the throne. If that happened, the royal family would change and the 10,000 Dragon Empire would not belong to the current royal family anymore. To solve this, she enacted a law that stated that she wouldn't be allowed to marry while she was in charge. After she gave up the throne, she would choose someone worthy in the royal family to take over. Only then was she able to shut all their mouths. In the dark, Long Mingzu hugged her good sister and said comfortably, "With this decree, I don't have to worry about marriage and can have a good life with you." Sister Min was still really shocked. "It's only been such a short time and you actually became the empress. That's quite unbelievable." Long Mingzu laid in her arms. "I told you that the throne would definitely be mine. Now that you are the empress, I shall be your shadow." Sister Min said. "Okay, I shall hand all my intelligence over to you." Long Mingzu kissed her. "I will help you stabilize the country," Sister Min said firmly. On this side, Long Mingzu started to get on the right path, officially taking control of the 10,000 Dragon Empire and strengthening it. On the other side, after the old monk returned to his cave, apart from cultivating, he would study the Red Watch. Under the white clouds, surrounded by nature and with a light breeze, the old monk was resting in his rocking chair. He held the Red Watch in his hand and stared right at it. "What is so magical about this thing?" the old monk muttered. He studied it for a period of time and he didn't notice anything. The watch wasn't a treasure at all. He wanted to break it open but he realized that he had to shatter it first. However, this watch was giving him false hope that shattering it could bring him to a mysterious place where his wishes could be fulfilled. "My wish is to fly but no one in ancient desolate land can help me fulfill this wish. Do you still want to help me?" The old monk scoffed and didn't believe that it was possible. Kaka. In the next second, he shattered the red watch. His body slowly disappeared. He looked on in shock. "I prophesied it several times, so there shouldn't be any danger." Before shattering the watch, the old monk sincerely prophesied 9 times. 9 times was all good luck. There was no danger at all. This was why he dared to shatter it. But looking at his body slowly disappearing, he started to worry. "Where are we going?" The old monk was shocked. When the mist scattered, Li Xiandao saw the 3rd tomb. Mountain Hermit's tomb. This was an old monk known as Mountain Hermit. Li Xiandao recalled that 30,000 years ago there was a top talent who became a celestial and entered the celestial world. After entering, he came back down and said that it wasn't as perfect as he thought it would be. This person was Mountain Hermit. This was his only introduction and everyone thought that he went into seclusion. There were even many who said that he could still be alive. After all, a celestial might have been able to live for 30,000 years. Li Xiandao didn't expect that he would be buried here. When Li Xiandao was about to pray to him, Seven's voice rang in his ear. "Master, you have a guest." Li Xiandao could only stop and say regretfully, "I can only come next time to comprehend your Dao." "Great, I will wait for you." A straightforward laughter that came from the Mountain Hermit's soul replied to Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao turned around and when he appeared once more, he was in the trading hall. "What happened to your chest?" Seven pointed and asked. Li Xiandao's heart was still dripping and 2 sword wounds were clear to see. Li Xiandao replied, "It is okay, I died twice just now." Seven tilted her head. "Just died twice?" Li Xiandao had suffered enough pain from the 2 wounds. With a wipe of his hand, the wound healed up. In the bank of the universe, Li Xiandao was invincible. He could get injured but he would definitely not die. "Who is the guest?" Li Xiandao asked with a weird expression. "Someone you know." Seven smiled. "Again?" Li Xiandao was shocked. Seven nodded her head. Chapter 142, 20-year employee contract. Within the trading hall, Li Xiandao met the new guest. It was an old man, a sage-like old monk, with a bright red face. Li Xiandao swept the old man's hands with a weird expression. It was perfect. Li Xiandao knew that he had fallen for his tricks. The face hidden under the mask was filled with emotion as Li Xiandao anticipated how the old monk would react after he saw him. What kind of expression? He looked like he had just eaten shit. The old monk totally didn't expect the person behind the red watch to be the world crosser who all of them had gone to attack. Was there something more unbelievable than that? He had sacrificed one of his arms in order to escape and now that he had recovered it, he felt a bit awkward. "I want to leave now. Can I?" the old monk muttered. "Please sit." Li Xiandao didn't bother about him and spoke calmly. The old monk reluctantly sat opposite Li Xiandao. Guest, since you have entered the Bank of the Universe, what wish would you like to fulfill? Li Xiandao acted as if nothing happened before and asked in a normal voice. I don't have a wish. The old monk hesitated and said. Okay, then I will send you out. Moreover, I will never receive you for the rest of your life. You will also forget about the watch and everything about this. Li Xiandao said calmly and didn't try to persuade him. The old monk was stunned. He didn't expect things to be so simple. He let him go just like that. Then, I will leave. The old monk stood up and asked. Li Xiandao nodded and stretched his hand out. The door is there, go out. The old monk hesitantly walked towards the door. He turned his head every 3 steps to see whether or not Li Xiandao was going to stop him. If Li Xiandao did, then he wouldn't stay. Li Xiandao didn't even look at him, he stood up and was prepared to leave too. There were just too few people who entered the Bank of the Universe and left without trading anything. That was because no one with no desires would be able to enter the Bank of the Universe. The Red Watch wouldn't find such a person either. The old monk walked to the entrance and Li Xiandao still didn't try to stop him. He turned his head and saw that Li Xiandao was about to leave too. He felt really anxious. Eyes, let me understand this situation. The old man turned around and sat in the chair. Li Xiandao sat down too and looked calmly at the old monk. As he wore the dark, gold mask, the old monk's psychological trauma surfaced and he was terrified. I want to know whether or not you can help me block the tribulation. Li Xiandao immediately thought about his cultivation. The old monk was really strong and apart from the great ocean saint turtle, he was the strongest in the entire ancient desolate land. The key was that due to his passive nature and long lifespan, if he tried to fly, the tribulation would be terrifying. Of course. Li Xiandao smiled confidently. My tribulation is really terrifying. The old monk reminded Li Xiandao. Li Xiandao nodded his head. Of course, he knew that it would be terrifying. But so what? The old monk frowned. What solution do you have? Isn't your goal just to leave ancient desolate land and head to higher worlds to cultivate? Li Xiandao asked. The old monk nodded his head and said helplessly, when I broke through in the past I was unsure and didn't fly up right away. When I got much stronger and wanted to fly, the tribulation was already too thick. Li Xiandao asked, I can solve your problem but what can you give to me? The old monk went silent. Since ancient times, there has been give and take. If I help you solve the tribulation, what repayment can you give me? Li Xiandao asked calmly. The old monk frowned and thought about it. What treasures did he have? God's source? He had scattered them all on the flowers and trees. The old monk did have some treasures that had been nurtured for over 10,000 years. They were connected to his aura and couldn't be given away. What else did he have? The old monk thought about it and had no idea. He asked Li Xiandao, what do you think I can pay? Li Xiandao pointed and said firmly, you. The old monk took a step back and his expression froze. I am already 10,000 years old and have become ancient and tired. I can't battle anymore. I can't do that with you. Moreover, your taste is a little heavy. I am so old and you can do it. That is just such a special taste. The old monk looked at Li Xiandao in amazement. Li Xiandao's expression turned black. Luckily, he wore the mask, otherwise, his expression would have been extremely ugly. If it was 5,000 years ago I could maybe just accept it. But now I need to think about it before I can give you an answer. The old monk touched his butt and had a feeling that he was about to suffer. Slice. 7 couldn't help but cover her mouth and she left. Li Xiandao stood up and said furiously, your thinking is really problematic. 7. Take a 20-year employee contract for him and let him consider it. After saying that, Li Xiandao angrily walked out of the trading hall after talking to the old monk. Seeing Li Xiandao walk away, the old monk muttered, did I understand it incorrectly? You were the one who described it incorrectly, okay. 7 passed the old monk a contract. What is this? The old monk was shocked. A 20-year employee contract. Look at it yourself. 7 said softly. After saying this, she ran after Li Xiandao. Outside the trading hall, Li Xiandao stood with his arms behind his back. He looked at the mountains that were all sealed. As of now only, 3 were unsealed. Clouds and mist circled them and they were a beautiful sight. Even with the restrictions, Li Xiandao could see how beautiful the scenery was. If he unlocked the restrictions, how beautiful would the Bank of the Universe be? Li Xiandao couldn't help but anticipate the future. Are you looking at the scenery? 7 walked beside Li Xiandao. One tall and one short person admired the view, shoulder to shoulder. How is he? Li Xiandao asked. He is reading it. 7 said, you are paying a lot of attention to him. He is one of the few abnormalities that I have seen in the entire ancient desolate land. Li Xiandao said. He didn't show any rage that he had shown previously. Abnormality. 7 didn't understand what Li Xiandao was saying. This person's lifespan is at least 50,000 years. That is impossible. He is only at Countless Sands realm, so at most, it should be 15,000. 7 shook her head. Li Xiandao said, I also think that it is impossible, but that is the truth. With his current improvement speed in the technique he is cultivating, after leaving ancient desolate land and obtaining large amounts of spiritual energy and resources, his lifespan will continue to increase. That is weird. What technique is he cultivating? 7 frowned. Constant youth celestial technique. Li Xiandao said. Isn't that technique really basic? 7 was surprised. This was the most basic of techniques and the monk was able to reach his current realm? Is he a treasure? Li Xiandao asked. 7 nodded. He really is. That's why I pretended to be angry to pressure him. As long as he signs, this treasure will be mine. After 20 years, he definitely won't want to live in the Bank of the Universe. Li Xiandao said confidently. Chapter 143, Old Priest Signs. Li Xiandao and 7 admired the scenery for a while before they walked into the trading hall. The old monk looked intently at the contract and didn't move for a long time. Li Xiandao sat in his seat and looked at him. What do you think? The old monk looked at Li Xiandao solemnly and said, if I sell 20 years to you, will you send me around to kill others? Li Xiandao looked at him with a weird expression. A cultivator was actually so afraid of killing people? To date, the number of people I have killed can be counted on less than 2 hands. Unless they are unpardonable, I will not kill them. I will find it very difficult to kill other people if you ask. The old monk said. Shocked, Li Xiandao asked, there is only one word in the journey of cultivation, fight. If you didn't kill anyone, then how did you reach such a stage? Li Xiandao was really interested. He knew that the old priest cultivated the constant youth celestial technique, but even then, it was impossible that he killed less than 10 people in 10,000 years. In the path of cultivation, even if you don't find trouble with others, they would find trouble with you. Sometimes, you would be forced to attack others. The old priest smiled. Cultivation requires one to fight. Everyone is fighting, but the path I chose is to let. Li Xiandao looked at him in confusion. A terrifying thought suddenly appeared in his mind. Is this old priest like Voldemort? The old priest smiled and said, in the words of a high monk, people in the world will cheat me, bully me, laugh at me, look down on me, insult me, lie to me, do evil to me. But what can I do about that? Now, Li Xiandao was sure that this person was Voldemort. As long as I let him do what he wants, avoid him, bear with him, respect him, not bother him, after a few years, look at what will happen. The old priest answered his own question. Li Xiandao asked, then, how many years from now will you meet that person? The old priest thought about it and said, over these 10,000 years, I have seen many people who lived arrogant lives, who fought one another, and at the end, they returned to the soil. No one remembered their stories. All the people who have insulted me over these 10,000 years are dead. Those who I have avoided have all died too. I am still alive and I can live for a long time. These 20 years are nothing to me, and if you are willing to take me out and solve the tribulation, I am willing to sign. The old monk was serious. My only request is for you to not make me kill a lot of people, as I don't like killing. The old priest requested. Li Xiandao looked at him and asked, you don't like to kill because you don't like being in danger? I don't like either. I just like to have a peaceful and quiet life, cultivating my own path and comprehending my own techniques. Let the world go its own way and time flow, I will still be myself. The old monk said firmly. Da-da-da. Li Xiandao's long finger tapped on the table, which reverberated a clean and crisp sound. He looked at the old priest and was extremely sure that he was just like Voldemort. Moreover, he was one with no attack strength at all. Maybe he was really strong but he didn't want to attack, instead, he wanted to win by a battle of attrition. As time passed, he would become stronger and his enemies would die. Numerous enemies appeared over 10,000 years and the old priest witnessed a lot. Such that it reached a point when he became used to this series of actions. I won't hit you. I will just waste time with you. Then, when you are running out of lifespan, I will go to your tomb and pour a cup of wine for you. The enemy could have forgotten him but he would remember. I promise that I won't make you kill anyone. I will only make you do missions. If you can't kill, then don't kill. You just need to complete the mission I sent you on. Li Xiandao nodded his head. The old priest was satisfied. Then, I will sign it. Shua Shua. The old priest decisively wrote down his own name. Just one look and Li Xiandao frowned. Your name is Taoist priest? Li Xiandao asked. I forgot my own name. The priest looked at Li Xiandao with an awkward smile. Li Xiandao frowned. Just use your thumbprint. The old priest pressed his thumb down on it. Li Xiandao was satisfied. He closed the contract and passed it to Seven. What should we do next? The old priest asked Li Xiandao. Head back. After a period of time when we leave ancient desolate land, I will call you. When the time comes you won't need to face the tribulation and will be able to leave this place. Li Xiandao waved his hand and said. I just go back like this. The old priest was shocked. Right, we still have to spend some time in ancient desolate land, but it won't be long, so just take a short break. Li Xiandao nodded his head. Then, I will head back. The old priest felt like he had fallen into a trap. This was too simple. Li Xiandao and Seven looked on as he left. How can a tribulation worry a countless sands expert so much? Seven didn't understand. Li Xiandao smiled, if he goes all out, even if he is injured, he will survive it. But unfortunately, his life has been peaceful and he has no will to fight. He also doesn't want to fight to the death. His first thought will be to outlive people. As long as he lives longer and runs faster, then he won't get into trouble. Li Xiandao understood the old priest's attitude. Coward. Or rather he was really safe. Too safe. He was just too much of a coward. But there was no choice as he had always been like that. Even till now, he hadn't used his skills much at all. Anyway, he will be able to live and you won't be able to outlive him. He shall let him be proud and when you die, I will still be alive. This personality should be of much help to us. Seven frowned. In the past, he felt like the old priest was a treasure but now he felt like he was a huge treasure. Li Xiandao shook his head, don't you think he is very interesting? Interesting. Seven frowned and looked at Li Xiandao. A person who has lived his entire life with such safety has entered the bank of the universe. He is the strongest person apart from me but he is safer than anyone else. He isn't safe but he is just totally lost in his own personality. Li Xiandao smiled. If I give him a dangerous person and cruel mission, he would have to go. Then, what will happen? Li Xiandao grinned. He wanted to see the old priest change his personality. Seven relaxed and nodded. That makes sense. We can wait and see. Li Xiandao was about to head to the Legacy Hall to find those ghosts but Heavenheart's voice spread in. Master, you told us to collect debts, and over these past few days, we have collected them all. Only Moon Angel Yuzuna has dealt with a dangerous contract. Heavenheart contacted Li Xiandao. What's the problem? Li Xiandao asked. The owner is dead and we can't get the compensation. Moon Angel Yuzuna's voice rang out. Li Xiandao looked at Seven. Impossible, a dead debtor would result in the contract destroying itself. Seven shook her head and said firmly. Chapter 144 Ice Plains Demon Sect. Seven's words caused Li Xiandao to ask Moon Angel Yuzuna in a serious tone, are you sure the debtor has died? Moon Angel Yuzuna's feminine voice spread into his ears, I confirmed once and asked Lucifer and Heavenheart to confirm once. All of us think that she is dead. Seven's face turned solemn. She stared at Li Xiandao without even the slightest smile on her face, I still believe in my thoughts, that the Bank of the Universe won't be wrong. Moreover, this place is still ancient desolate land and the people here are slightly weaker. It is not possible for mistakes to occur here. Li Xiandao nodded as he chose to trust Seven. Of course, it wasn't that he didn't believe in the three of them. After all, they did investigate and all confirmed that she was dead. This meant that there was a problem. Li Xiandao said to Moon Angel, "All of you wait there, I will go over and take a look." "Yes, Master." Moon Angel Yuzuna ended the conversation. Within the Bank of the Universe, Seven thought about it and said, "When you are investigating you must be careful. There is definitely something wrong with this. It is definitely regarding the debtor." Yuzuna and the others were on the same side and they couldn't have made a mistake. The most suspicious person was the one who signed the contract. Li Xiandao nodded his head and smiled, "Why are you so solemn? I do believe you." Seven rolled his eyes at Li Xiandao and said, "This is my job. You passed all the contracts to me and now that something has happened, it is my mistake." Li Xiandao shook his head, "This matter is still uncertain, so there is no need to be so anxious about it. I will come back quickly after taking a look." With a step forwards, Li Xiandao's body disappeared. He turned into a sword, slashing through the sky and heading towards where Moon Angel Yuzuna and the others were. Hong! The sword energy broke through the sky. The moment Li Xiandao left, the sky was really calm, but within 10 seconds, the air around exploded and started to crack. Large ripples started to appear. He moved quickly, causing the air behind him to surge and curl up. It was like he was surfing in the sky. 10 minutes later, Li Xiandao arrived where they were. Li Xiandao traveled as fast as he could and arrived in 10 minutes. After all, the black soil land occupied half of ancient desolate land and was a long distance away from the icy area. Hong! Li Xiandao landed along with the rumbling clouds behind him. He stabbed into the ground like a sword, and when the sword energy around him dissipated, his body appeared in front of the three of them. Fallen Angel Lucifer, Moon Angel Yuzuna, and Heaven Heart said respectfully, "Greetings, Master." Li Xiandao wore a golden mask and wore a purple robe. He asked, "What is going on?" Moon Angel Yuzuna and Fallen Angel Lucifer looked at Heaven Heart and wanted him to explain the situation. Heaven Heart said, "Master, this is what happened." Li Xiandao listened intently. There were 150 contracts. Each one of us had 50 to do. We ran all around the land to places and sects around ancient desolate land claiming debts and demanding for compensation fees. This matter was supposed to end here. Lucifer and I have finished in advance and Moon Angel has completed 49 of her contracts. This was the final and only problematic contract. Heaven Heart said. "The debtor is dead?" Li Xiandao asked. Heaven Heart nodded. "Right. We thought that she was faking it or she was hiding from everyone, but when she checked her grave, we all confirmed that she was already dead. This was why we reported to Master." Heaven Heart said solemnly. He knew that since the debtor was dead, then the contract was trashed. But since the debtor was dead and the contract was still here, that meant that there was something wrong. Li Xiandao frowned, "Bring me to see the corpse." Li Xiandao and Yuzuna led the way while Heaven Heart and Li Xiandao walked behind. "How long has she been dead for?" Li Xiandao asked. 50 years. Heaven Heart said. Li Xiandao was confused, 50 years? How long past the deadline has it been? Just over 50 years. Heaven Heart said right away. It was obvious that he was confused too. This means that the moment she broke the contract 50 years ago she died. During these 50 years, it wasn't that she didn't repay it. It's only because she died that she broke the contract. Li Xiandao muttered. That is possible, but this whole matter is quite suspicious. Heaven Heart didn't dare to conclude anything. This matter concerned Seven, so Heaven Heart wouldn't give a random comment. If he offended Seven and she complained to Li Xiandao, what if he punished him? What did she trade? Li Xiandao was curious. As Seven dealt with the 150 contracts, he didn't even look at any of them. 10 human celestial pills. After consuming it, one can activate one's potential and obtain a portion of a celestial's Dao, strengthening the person and allowing them to harness great power. Heaven Heart said. Then, what is the price? Li Xiandao walked and asked. The price is that she has to hand her soul flame to the Bank of the Universe, and then after she dies, her soul and everything of hers will have to be handed back to Bank of the Universe. Heaven and Earth Flame asked. Then, have you collected her soul? Li Xiandao asked. She has been dead for 50 years, so even if the soul has remained, it would have disintegrated after so long. Heaven Heart shook his head. Li Xiandao frowned. Where is this person from? She is from Ice Plains sect. Heaven Heart reached out and pointed. A sect built on the ice plains appeared in front of their eyes. Ice Plains Demon Sect. This was the name of the sect. They had a few thousand disciples and it wasn't just a small sect. Moon Angel Yuzuna headed in from the main gate with no obstruction at all. Moon Angel gathered all the people of the sect and killed a few of the bold ones. Since then, the rest have been very well behaved. Heaven Heart was quite ashamed. Li Xiandao nodded his head and followed Moon Angel Yuzuna in. There were pieces of ice all over Ice Plains Demon Sect. They were all carved really nicely into many interesting buildings. They were as beautiful as many other sects and gave off a foreign feel. There was an ice well at the back mountain. The people of Ice Plain Demon Sect were surrounding it with faces of terror. When they saw Moon Angel walk slowly over, they were so terrified they didn't dare to speak. Moon Angel's body was fiery and hot, shaking from side to side. Her face was ice cold and she gave off an aura that blocked off all guys from her. Even though she was so beautiful that she made many men drool, they still didn't dare to take another look at her. She was a demon who would kill if she disagreed with them. Master, this is that person's grave. Moon Angel stopped and said respectfully. Those from Ice Plains Demon Sect looked on in shock. Since such a terrifying Moon Angel could call this person master, then how scary was this guy? Chapter 145. Is there a problem? Li Xiandao walked over slowly. Under the terrified gazes of the Ice Plains Demon Sect members, he looked at the ice well. This is her tomb. Li Xiandao frowned as he looked around. This was a world of extreme ice and the temperature was really low. When one stepped on the ground, it was really hard and it felt the same as stepping on an iron board. Moon Angel nodded and said, the sect leader of Ice Plains Demon Sect buried her here 50 years ago. What about the corpse? Li Xiandao looked at the bottomless well and asked. Moon Angel sucked with her palm, releasing thick moon energy into the well. Ka ka ka. An exquisite coffin slowly floated up from within. This was a transparent ice coffin that clearly displayed the person who was laying inside. It was a girl. A very beautiful girl. She was like the girl next door, very pure and clean. Even after death when she was laying in the coffin, she was still smiling like she had just fallen asleep. Li Xiandao took out the contract and the signature on it shone bright which proved that this woman was the one who signed it. It was her. Li Xiandao frowned as he didn't sense any sign of life from her body. No breathing. No heartbeat. No soul activity. She was a corpse. Dong. The coffin was placed on ice and a low sound reverberated throughout the area. This was because the coffin was made of 1,000 year ice that was really dense and heavy. Moon Angel immediately opened the lid of the coffin and this lady was revealed under the sunlight. Her skin was frosty and standing close, one could feel the entire body freezing up and her smile was really unnatural. This was a sign of death. A sign that one had been frozen for a long time. Heaven Heart said, Master, she is dead. Li Xiandao kept silent and looked on. He even shot a thread of sword energy into her body. Her meridians were tightly shut, her dantian was shriveled up, and her mind was dried up. Everything showed that she was dead. But if she died, then why was the contract still valid? After entering ancient desolate land, many of the Bank of the Universe contracts were invalid due to the deaths of the debtors. Why was this one left out? Li Xiandao contacted 7, do you see this? 7 guessed, the person is dead but the contract is still valid. This is very interesting. Li Xiandao nodded his head and knew that someone was trying to con the Bank of the Universe. Li Xiandao asked, who is the sect leader of Ice Plains Demon Sect? An initial great saint middle-aged man was brought over and he looked at Li Xiandao in terror. Especially after seeing Moon Angel Yuzuna standing to the side, he panicked even more. After all, she had just killed many of the people in Ice Plains Demon Sect and left her mark on all of them. I am the sect leader of Ice Plains Demon Sect. The sect leader trembled and said. Who is this woman to you? Li Xiandao asked. Her name is Chu Bai and she is one of the senior elders in Ice Plains Demon Sect. She reached Dao Saint Realm and was really old. She is 1 generation older than my master. Sect leader replied. Did anything weird happen when she died 50 years ago? Li Xiandao stood with his hands behind his back and continued asking. There was nothing abnormal as she was very old. Although she looked really young, we all knew that she was about to die. Sect leader replied right away. Li Xiandao saw how fast he replied and said calmly, you must think carefully. Any word you say will affect the life and death of Ice Plains Demon Sect. Think about it carefully. Tell me everything about the time before, during, and after her death. The Ice Plains Demon Sect's sect leader was so frightened that he shuddered. He didn't want Ice Plains Demon Sect to be wiped out just because of this. I've recalled something. Sect leader thought about it and said emotionally. Li Xiandao said expressionlessly, speak. When she was about to die, a few of the elders and I were called and she gave us instructions. The sect leader said. What did she say? Li Xiandao's interest was perked. He didn't look at the sect leader but at the girl in the coffin. Her name was Chu Bai and she was over 10,000 years old but still had the face of a young girl. She had not only the youthful look, but the youthful aura too. From his first glance, she gave off a girl next door vibe. This was something very unbelievable because when one was near to the end of their life, their body would weaken. Every part of them would slow down and collapse and they wouldn't be able to maintain their peak appearance, much less the beauty of their prime. She told us that we shall use the 1,000 year ice from the north to craft a coffin for her and place her inside. We would then open an ice well and preserve her body so that it never decomposes. Sect leader said. Li Xiandao frowned, never decompose? Your senior master is very vain. Li Xiandao asked. We couldn't tell, but we followed her instructions. After all of the Ice Plains Demon Sect Dao saints want to look their best when they die. Thus, we followed her instructions, and 50 years have passed since then. Sect leader replied. Did anything weird happen during these 50 years? Li Xiandao asked again. No. We have been living well and if all of you hadn't come, she would have been buried deep down. Sect leader shook his head. When she died did she leave anything? Li Xiandao looked at the sect leader. No, when she died the disciples helped to change her clothes. As for treasures, she melted them long ago because she felt like others shouldn't touch stuff she's used before. The sect leader said without any hesitation. Li Xiandao realized that he had no emotional fluctuation at all, so he was definitely telling the truth. You are saying that this senior master is a clean freak? Li Xiandao had an idea and asked. Right, which is why she didn't want to be buried in the ground or have an orthodox burial. She herself chose the location. The sect leader nodded his head. Since this is the case, then I will take the corpse away. Ice Plains Demon Sect is safe and just pretend like I never came. Li Xiandao looked at the sect leader with a calm expression. The sect leader was petrified and nodded his head. No problem, we are willing to cooperate with you. Sect leader gave up on the corpse. Moon Angel Yuzuna, carry the coffin and we shall leave. Li Xiandao turned around and left. Heavenheart followed and said softly, Master, what happened? When one dies, the contract ends. This means that there is a problem here. Li Xiandao said quickly. What do you think is the problem? Li Xiandao asked Heavenheart. Heavenheart was stunned. How was he going to answer that? It is definitely something wrong with her. Yuzuna said decisively. Right, 7 prepared the contract, so there should be no problem there. Li Xiandao nodded his head in agreement. Heavenheart understood how he should have answered the question. He secretly gave Moon Angel the thumbs up. Chapter 146, Soul Guess. Li Xiandao brought Chu Bai's corpse back to the Bank of the Universe. All 3 of them followed Li Xiandao and looked at him, wanting to know what the reason behind all this was. Within the trading hall, Li Xiandao placed the coffin down and he looked at it quietly. 7 checked it and knew that Chu Bai was indeed a corpse. This made her frown. Her exquisite face became really solemn. She even started to suspect that something went wrong with the Bank of the Universe. Was it because the Bank of the Universe was sealed for so long such that its functions had started to malfunction? But she quickly tossed that idea to the back of her head as that was impossible. Even if there was something wrong with the bank, it shouldn't have been revealed in ancient desolate land. 7 looked at Li Xiandao and hesitated, Master, do you see anything wrong with this? The other 3 of them looked at Li Xiandao in unison. Li Xiandao had read many books and pretty much finished everything in the 10,000 country book depository. With all the knowledge in his mind, he was the calmest person when facing such a situation. 7. When Chu Bai came to the Bank of the Universe, she exchanged her soul flame for 10 human celestial pills. She promised that after she died everything of hers would belong to the Bank of the Universe including her soul, right? Li Xiandao asked. 7 nodded but she didn't understand what Li Xiandao was getting at. How could that prove that Chu Bai wasn't dead? Li Xiandao looked at the ice coffin and said, go take her soul flame. 7 agreed, although the Bank of the Universe doesn't have many treasures, things like soul flames haven't been sealed. They are sealed in the treasury, so I will go get it. The Bank of the Universe had many items that had been pawned off and only a few things were left. Those that had been pawned were naturally the most valuable ones and those that remained might not have been worthless but they were definitely not as valuable. Soul flames were one of such items. During special times, soul flames were really precious. Especially a pure soul flame which was deemed a priceless treasure. But that was only during special times. Very quickly, 7 came out with a transparent jade bottle. In it was a lotus-like jade flame. This was a snow lotus. It was transparent and looked extremely beautiful, like a lotus blooming at the peak of a snow mountain. This soul flame is really special. Heavenheart said in shock. That's right, I have never seen such transparent soul flames before. Lucifer nodded his head. It is comparable to the purity of the moon, that is a snow lotus, right? Moon Angel looked at it in shock. It was a flame but everyone felt like it was a snow lotus. That was enough to show that something was wrong. This was a perfect quality soul flame. No wonder she could exchange it for 10 human celestial pills. This was a rare job done by the master before Li Xiandao. 7 muttered, I was the one who signed this. Li Xiandao looked at 7 in shock. The last master actually gave you power? 7 explained, one time he went to drink in the celestial world and got really drunk. Since there were guests I had to receive them and I also signed this contract. After this matter, I was even scolded by him. When she said this, 7 felt really wronged. Li Xiandao nodded his head. The small bit of praise he had for the last master was extinguished. As expected, he couldn't have any hope for him. Now that I have taken the soul flame, what should I do? 7 looked at Li Xiandao and asked. Li Xiandao took out this snow lotus-like snow flame and placed it in his hand. If she is dead, then this soul flame should change. Now, I shall take it out and place it in her body to see whether or not she will awaken. That is worth a try but I am not hopeful about it. 7 did not think it would work. She had also thought about using the soul flame and the corpse to react with one another but it usually had little to no effect. Don't worry, I am here. Li Xiandao smiled towards 7 and said confidently. 7 didn't know why but her heart felt warm. Only after she came to her senses did she realize that Li Xiandao was flirting with her. Li Xiandao walked in front of the ice coffin and placed the soul flame in. In the 10,000 country book depository there is a book that talks about the soul flame. It isn't a cultivation technique but it is quite interesting. Next time when all of you have a chance to enter, I recommend that all of you read it. Heavenheart, Lucifer, Yuzuna, and 7 all looked at Li Xiandao and listened intently. This book is called Beginning of the Soul and it was written by someone who had great knowledge of the soul. It was filled with research of the soul and was deemed the encyclopedia of the soul. It is really precious and we are fortunate that we have it in the 10,000 country book depository. Li Xiandao praised the Beginning of the Soul. After reading so many books in the 10,000 country book depository, there were only a few that could leave him in shock and amazement. Beginning of the Soul was one of them. Lucifer, Heavenheart, Yuzuna, and even 7 remembered the name of the book. In the future, when they had a chance, they would definitely find it. This book's author is one of the ancient experts' soul ancestor. His cultivation might not be extremely strong but no one in the world since the beginning of time can compete with him in terms of knowledge of the soul. Li Xiandao looked at the lotus-like soul flame as it entered Chu Bai's body. Anyway, since it took some time for the soul flame to seep through the corpse, Li Xiandao had time to explain all their doubts and be a loving teacher to all of them. Time for teacher Li. Since Chu Bai obtained the human celestial pill, 10 of them, based on her talent, she probably won't die. Li Xiandao stood with his arms behind his back and said. Human celestial pill has a thread of Dao knowledge. Although it is just a bit, for a Dao saint, it is like an ocean. Just by comprehending it, one can easily break into countless sands realm. 7 said. Right, one human celestial pill is like an ocean for Chu Bai to swim in. She had 10, so even if she was a pig she could break into countless sands realm and definitely wouldn't die. Li Xiandao said firmly. This was something that he found very weird since the beginning. With 10 human celestial pills, it was as if one had 10 huge oceans. There would be endless amounts of treasures in the ocean. But now, you're telling me that you didn't comprehend them and didn't sail the seas, but instead, you died at the shore. Li Xiandao didn't believe that anyone would be such a fool. Unless She was facing problems. This could explain why she wanted to exchange for the human celestial pills. She wanted to gamble with her life, using the human celestial pill to let herself break through. But she still failed in the end. In the end, she placed her corpse in the depths of the ice to never decompose. What is the reason for that? Seven asked curiously. She had never witnessed such a situation before. Li Xiandao's eyes shone with a bright glow. If not for the all-knowing talent, he wouldn't have been able to pick up all these clues. Now with all of these clues, Li Xiandao started to dig for more. Maybe she isn't dead. No, she should be dead, but she has another body. There is also a high possibility that she is just an unimportant clone. Li Xiandao had a very interesting guess. Chapter 147, Soul Return. Seven asked Li Xiandao, are you saying that she is only a clone? Heavenheart and the others looked at Li Xiandao and at Chu Bai laying in the ice coffin. Did that look like a clone? That's right, it is highly possible that it is. Li Xiandao nodded his head. When I signed the contract I was sure that she was the soul consciousness. Seven remembered clearly that she only signed it after confirming Chu Bai's identity. Li Xiandao smiled, in this world, clones aren't things with no emotions, some are totally different from the main body. They have different thoughts, different memories, different personalities. Some of them want to replace the main personality and some want to be independent and unrestricted. Seven looked at Chu Bai in shock, so, she needed 10 human celestial pills to break away from the main body. Deep in thought, Li Xiandao nodded his head as he looked at Chu Bai. The snow lotus-like soul flame slowly seeped into the corpse. The snow-white glow lit up the entire body and caused it to loosen. Only then did her smile appear so beautiful. Youth. Beauty. That sect said that even at the moment of death, Chu Bai was like a teen who didn't age at all. That was something quite unbelievable. Since she is the clone of someone else, then how can she die? Lucifer was curious. If he was the one, he wouldn't have let his clone die. Even if the clone fought to the death, it was better than dying of old age. Li Xiandao walked around the coffin and said, why do you think that the master must be able to control the actions and thoughts of the clone? Lucifer was speechless. He thought about it and realized that it was true. If Chu Bai can be controlled, then she wouldn't have come to the Bank of the Universe and wouldn't have been able to sign the contract. She too wouldn't have been able to get the 10 human celestial pills. Teacher Li was lecturing Lucifer. But she couldn't totally break off from the main body and thus needed the human celestial pill to do so. However, by the looks of it, she failed. Li Xiandao looked at Chu Bai and said regretfully. The other people all looked on regretfully. As Li Xiandao explained the situation, everything became really clear. Do you understand now? Teacher Li asked. Understood. Everyone nodded their heads and all their qualms were solved. The Bank of the Universe's contract was correct. Since Chu Bai was not dead, the contract wouldn't be trashed either. But Moon Angel and their investigation were correct too. Chu Bai was dead and they weren't able to claim the items from the contract. This wasn't contradictory because Chu Bai was a clone and even if she died, as long as the clone was still alive, her contract remained valid. Maybe Chu Bai can be revived. Li Xiandao said firmly. How? Seven looked at Li Xiandao in shock. She has been dead for 50 years. Heavenheart reminded Li Xiandao. Her corpse has already hardened, Lucifer added. Her soul is gone. Yuzuna interrupted too. Li Xiandao looked as the last bit of soul flame merged into her body, so, what if she has been dead for 50 years? Her corpse is as good as a live one and has been kept in great condition. Li Xiandao replied. Heavenheart didn't say anything. Her corpse has hardened, but hasn't it softened? Li Xiandao pointed. Lucifer looked at Chu Bai and stopped saying anything. As for her soul being lost, this soul flame is her chance of reviving. Li Xiandao said confidently. Yuzuna looked at Li Xiandao and wanted to see what idea this master had to help Chu Bai revive. Li Xiandao's time as a teacher had ended. Next, he fully focused on Chu Bai. The moment the soul flame totally merged, he slapped forwards and true chi surged into her body. Explosion! With that, Li Xiandao opened her danshan and all her meridians. All direction energy leading technique. Li Xiandao used one of the techniques he learned from beginning of the soul to tug at Chu Bai's soul. Soul return! Soul return! Soul return! Li Xiandao gave out a long and sad call. His expression was really solemn. A bright light exploded from his body which came from the soul summoning energy from the technique. Ancient desolate land could preserve anything. Over 50 years, Li Xiandao didn't know how much of her soul remained, but just a bit of it would be able to let her awaken. To think someone only at Dao Saint would have such a strong soul flame. That is your biggest weakness. Your soul flame has a bit of the main body, which is why you can't die. Li Xiandao said firmly. He had to save Chu Bai. As long as he revived her, he would know who her master was. Li Xiandao really wanted to know which expert could produce such an amazing clone. Dong dong dong. Within the trading hall, there was loud thunder all around. Numerous mystical things climbed out from the outside and they were all attracted to her by the all-direction energy leading technique. Scram! Li Xiandao frowned. He didn't expect that all these random ghosts would charge over. He opened the bank of the universe to attract Chu Bai's soul, but these vengeful spirits and ghosts ended up surging in. Their arrival also caused the bank of the universe to be really packed such that Chu Bai's soul couldn't enter. Clang! Along with Li Xiandao's cold shout, a sharp sword glow slashed down on the area around him. Explosion! He chased away the group of demons with just one sword. Those evil spirits and vengeful ghosts cried out. After being hit by Li Xiandao's sharp sword, all of them scattered. The bank of the universe's trading hall suddenly quietened down. Just at this moment, several illusionary figures floated in. These illusions were about to scatter and they had no consciousness and no bodies either. The all-direction energy leading technique was the one drawing them here. Li Xiandao's eyes shone with joy and he said, "Return." This was Chu Bai's soul and it had the same essence as that of the soul flame. Li Xiandao immediately shot them into Chu Bai's corpse. Shortly after, many similarly small soul fragments flew into the bank of the universe and were shot into Chu Bai's body. This continued for a day and night and the number of fragments were enough to piece together half of her soul. Only then did Li Xiandao close the bank of the universe. Wake up! Li Xiandao slapped her and rich life flames burst out from the soul flame. It burned bright and chased away all of the deathly energy from within her body. Chu Bai's life force started to slowly appear and fill her body. Li Xiandao heaved a sigh of relief and took several steps back. He stood tall with his arms behind his back. With his mask on, one couldn't see his expression, but from his eyes, one could tell that he was really satisfied. Seven walked to Li Xiandao's side and asked, "Are you tired?" Li Xiandao looked at Seven with a weird expression. "What do you mean? Do you need me to help massage you?" Seven suggested. "There are people here." Li Xiandao replied. "Oh, forget it." Seven left right away. "When there is no one, then help me." Li Xiandao pulled her ponytail to stop her and projected his voice into her mind. Seven's face turned red. Chapter 148, Fighting Over Distance. Li Xiandao and Seven stood together and looked at the coffin. Chu Bai's face started to turn red and the color returned. She looked no different from a normal person. Her eyes were still shut but her breathing started to even out. Heavenheart, Lucifer, and Yuzuna looked on. They wanted to see how a person that had been dead for 50 years could be revived. Chu Bai laid in the coffin. Her arms were placed on her stomach and her was chest rising up and down. It was obvious that she was slowly recovering. At that moment, something happened. Many snow lotus marks appeared on her body and on her skin. They were thumb-sized and really clear. "What is that?" Seven looked at Li Xiandao with a weird expression and thought that it was a normal process. Heavenheart and the others looked at Li Xiandao too as they had no idea what was going on. Li Xiandao's expression changed and he had a bad feeling. Something had gone wrong. Someone is causing trouble. Li Xiandao said coldly. He stepped up, forming a seal with his hands and pressed down with the sword seal he formed. "You dare to behave so arrogantly here?" Li Xiandao scoffed coldly. Clang! The sword seal was extremely sharp and pressed down on her dantian. Immeasurable sword energy surged into her body. Her body shook violently and a terrifying glow shone out from within. It was really bright and it started to crystallize but the color was still like that of a snow lotus. Dong dong dong! Within her body, the sword energy and the snow lotus flowers tangled with one another and a terrifying energy exploded out. "Who dares to target my clone?" Someone's furious roar transmitted into the bank from some place far away. Li Xiandao's expression didn't change. He had already guessed that the person that caused such a huge commotion in Chu Bai's body was her main body. "Who are you?" Li Xiandao was communicating with that person over large distances. Can you ask my identity? The furious voice was filled with arrogance and disdain, like he treated Li Xiandao as a peasant. Li Xiandao's expression turned cold at how arrogant this person was. You actually dare to try to do things to my clone? You are asking to die. Today, I will shine you what they mean by the moment a fairy gets angry, the world will be turned on its head. The voice was really sharp. It was obvious that her plan to use the snow lotus flower to control Chu Bai was thwarted by Li Xiandao's sword seal. She was infuriated and attacked right away. From far away, with worlds between them, a green thread shot through the air. It was really fierce, like it could instantly kill someone. Explosion. This strike came from another world, and who knew how far it had traveled. In just 3 short seconds, it arrived in the bank of the universe and was right in front of Li Xiandao. Pang! After seeing Li Xiandao, the green thread incarnation became really sharp and stabbed into Li Xiandao's body. Slice! That green thread pierced right through his body. Now, do you know what happens when you are a busybody? The arrogant fairy said coldly and didn't respect Li Xiandao at all. Li Xiandao's body had been pierced in just 3 seconds. The key was that this started the moment it left the fairy's hand from the faraway world. Li Xiandao had less than a second to react, so it was quite difficult for him to block with his current cultivation. At the moment, Li Xiandao couldn't fight that fairy. But this was the bank of the universe. In the bank of the universe, he was the god. After his body was pierced, Li Xiandao lowered his head and looked at the bleeding, gaping hole in his chest. Li Xiandao was expressionless. Compared to being stabbed by a sword, this only hurts a little bit. Just a little. Li Xiandao's expression became ice cold. Whoever it was whose body was pierced for no reason felt annoyed. Fairy, I can't do anything to you now, but I am definitely keeping your clone. Li Xiandao scoffed coldly. He pushed his hands forwards before pulling down. Explosion. Li Xiandao was borrowing the power of the bank of the universe. He sealed off the other person's sensory ability and cut her off from Chu Bai. Damn! In an unknown space, a sleeping fairy woke up. Her beautiful face was filled with rage. Such a peasant dares to hold my clone hostage. The fairy was furious. She punched forwards and wanted to kill Li Xiandao through the space. But she had lost connection with Li Xiandao and the bank of the universe. She could only follow her memory to punch. Explosion. Ancient desolate land, black soil land, thousands of miles were destroyed by that terrifying punch. In the bank of the universe, Li Xiandao and the others looked on silently. Luckily, the bank of the universe didn't have a physical form. If it did, that punch would have damaged many things. This woman is really amazing. Heavenheart said solemnly. Human celestial realm. Lucifer said. He couldn't sense it now, but Lucifer was very knowledgeable in the past, so naturally, he knew. Master, her insulting you is the same as her insulting us. I will definitely kill her for you and let her know how strong you are. Moon Angel Yuzuna was determined. Heavenheart and Lucifer all looked at her with a weird expression. Who knew that the ice-cold Yuzuna would actually be so good at expressing loyalty and sucking up? Heavenheart couldn't help but give her a thumbs up. This was the second time she had been so impressed. Li Xiandao smiled, good, I will wait for all of you to take revenge for me. But she can't find us now, so there is no need to worry. We need to revive Chu Bai first to find out who we are dealing with. She is probably sick of living to dare act so insolently. Li Xiandao's eyes were really cold. Seven looked at him, is she waking up? Li Xiandao walked forwards and saw the snow lotus flowers around her body. He pressed down with rumbling sword energy. The snow lotus flowers slowly disappeared. Chu Bai opened her eyes and looked at Li Xiandao in disbelief, is this hell? This place is much more dangerous than hell. Li Xiandao said with a serious look on his face. Chu Bai looked around and slowly came to her senses. This. I am actually not dead. That is unbelievable. Chu Bai looked at Li Xiandao in shock. With me here, you won't be able to die. Li Xiandao stood with his arms behind his back and said confidently. Putong. Chu Bai knelt down right away and kowtowed. She said emotionally, thank you, sir, for saving me. Li Xiandao waved his hands and said, I am not saving you, I am just saving something that belongs to me. Chu Bai looked at him in shock and didn't know what he meant. Does this place look familiar? Li Xiandao asked. Chu Bai looked around and her dusty old memories started to recover. She had been dead for 50 years, so she couldn't remember much. It was only slowly appearing in her mind once more. When she saw the fairy-like seven, she was shocked. She covered her mouth with her hand. Her heart was a mix of joy and shock. She asked in disbelief, "This is the Bank of the Universe." Chapter 149, Human Celestial. How would Chu Bai forget about the Bank of the Universe? This was the biggest secret in her memory. She was afraid that her main body would find out, so she sealed the memory so only she could read it. The Bank of the Universe. Fairy 7. This was a really important memory. People who had met Seven once would never forget her for the rest of their lives. That was because Seven was such a perfect woman. She was a woman that all other women envied. Chu Bai looked at Seven emotionally. Scenes of when she signed the contract with her 10,000 years ago appeared in her mind. At that time, she was wondering about how there was such a shocking beauty in the world. 000 years later, she met her once more. But this time, Chu Bai was someone who had already died once. How did I get here? Chu Bai didn't know what was going on. She had died before and her memories weren't clear. She didn't know anything that happened during these 50 years. What's your last memory? Seven asked. Chu Bai thought about it and asked, last memory. I was about to be recalled. My own consciousness was born and I wanted to break away from her. She got angry and wanted to pull me back in. Chu Bai sat on the ground. She closed her eyes and recalled. Li Xiandao and the others looked at her silently from a few meters away. I didn't agree. I had the human celestial pill and was able to stop her. I would rather die than go back. I fought her 10 times and consumed the 10 human celestial pill. However, I still failed. She was just too strong and I was no match for her. Chu Bai said bitterly. 000 years passed and she exchanged everything for 10 human celestial pills. She didn't use it randomly, she continued to accumulate her strength, doing something a clone should have done, and she didn't let her main body realize that she had her own soul. In the end, she had still been noticed. The main body was furious, especially after realizing that Chu Bai was going to break away. She was immediately prepared to wipe her out. But Chu Bai wasn't dumb. With the 10 human celestial pills with her, she was able to block 10 attacks. During these 10 times, she was able to break through from countless sands realm and even soar high up. But the main body dragged her down and didn't allow her to break through. In the end, she lost the human celestial pill and Chu Bai chose to give up on herself. During the 50 years of death, Chu Bai's master really thought that she had died. So, she stopped caring. Only a while ago when Li Xiandao revived Chu Bai did the master realize. She attacked from afar and tried to kill Chu Bai. Luckily, Li Xiandao stopped her, only then did Chu Bai manage to live. The price was that Li Xiandao's chest had been pierced. Li Xiandao wiped it and the hole was gone instantly. In the Bank of the Universe, no one would be able to kill him. Chu Bai, do you still remember the contract you signed? Li Xiandao asked solemnly. Chu Bai nodded. Since you went against the contract, what is the price to pay? Li Xiandao asked. My soul, my everything belongs to the Bank of the Universe. Chu Bai carefully remembered what the contract entailed and spoke it aloud. When she said this, Chu Bai's eyes were glowing. She was emotional and there was no pain and reluctance at all. Now, she understood why Li Xiandao said those words. I am not saving you, I am saving something that belongs to me. So, she didn't belong to herself, but she belonged to the Bank of the Universe and the mysterious masked guy in front of her. At this moment, she didn't feel any negativity. Instead, she felt really safe, especially when she saw Li Xiandao's tall body. Are you willing to abide by the contract? Li Xiandao continued to ask. Chu Bai didn't say a word, kneeling directly in front of Li Xiandao and spoke respectfully, Greetings master. Li Xiandao nodded his head in satisfaction. With Chu Bai, Li Xiandao had many ways of dealing with the human celestial. Rise. Li Xiandao said calmly. Chu Bai kowtowed respectfully thrice to Li Xiandao. It was to express thanks, after all, Li Xiandao had saved her life. I will tell you whatever you want to know. Chu Bai stood up. She knew that Li Xiandao wanted to find out about her main body. Talk about the main body. Li Xiandao asked. She is called Ling Ren and she lives in one of the top few worlds in the 10 lands. She is a human celestial expert. Chu Bai explained. Li Xiandao was listening. 7 was looking. The others were listening too. Ling Ren's personality is really overbearing and she uses a clone to gain cultivation experience. She is one of the elders in one of the top families in the 10 lands and is hard to deal with. Chu Bai said. Li Xiandao said coldly, I can see that. She tried to kill me from so far away just because she was unhappy. Chu Bai was shocked and asked with concern, Master, are you okay? If there was a loyalty scale and 100 was the highest, Chu Bai was definitely 100. The only thing she thought about was Li Xiandao and also the Bank of the Universe. She was all alone. Since her consciousness had been born, she couldn't tell anyone and no one could help her. Her only hope was the Bank of the Universe. 000 years ago, the Bank of the Universe helped her. 000 years later, the Bank of the Universe saved her. Chu Bai was a person who lacked a sense of security. Now that Li Xiandao gave it to her, even if she had to die for him, she wouldn't hesitate. I am okay, continue speaking. Li Xiandao waved his hands. He was really pleased with Chu Bai. She was a beauty with a fiery body asking whether or not he was fine. The key was that this beauty belonged to him. If Li Xiandao hinted something she would have probably stripped off her clothes to serve him. Shua. 7 threw him an icy glance that was so cold he could feel it in his bones. Li Xiandao coughed softly and took a gentlemanly step back. He said seriously, what happened to your eyes? 7 scoffed, I'm not going to massage you later anymore. Li Xiandao was unhappy, how can you go against your word? Where is the trust? I am sorry. I am a woman. 7 said coldly. Li Xiandao looked at 7 and 7 looked at Chu Bai with a straight face as she talked about Ling Ren. Li Xiandao sighed as he had to try his best to coax her later. He tossed aside the random thoughts and started to pay attention to Ling Ren. This person actually dared to attack him, she must have been sick of living. Did she really think that she was at the highest few lands of the 10 lands and could do whatever she wanted? Chu Bai continued, Ling Ren's family is really strong, which was why she was able to cultivate to human saint realm at such a young age. Young age? Li Xiandao laughed in disdain. How young? Ling Ren is only 10,000 years old this year. Among the elders in the 10 lands, she is considered young. Chu Bai said right away. A more than 10,000-year-old human celestial realm dares to behave so arrogantly. Li Xiandao's gaze turned cold. Master, give me some time and I'll be able to kill Ling Ren. Moon Angel Yuzuna said right away. Heavenheart and Lucifer opened their mouths. They wanted to say the same thing but Moon Angel said it first. Chapter 150, Crossing Worlds. Do you know where Ling Ren is? Li Xiandao asked Moon Angel and the others. We don't need to know where she is, we just need to find her family and we'll be able to find her. Moon Angel said calmly. Ling Ren is from a celestial family in Eternal Land. She travels everywhere, so no one knows where she is now. Chu Bai said. Eternal Land. Li Xiandao muttered, his eyes glowed with excitement. It has been decided. We are heading to Eternal Land next. We have to kill Ling Ren. Li Xiandao said coldly. Okay. 7 nodded too and she was really annoyed with this Ling Ren. She actually tried to cross worlds to attack the Bank of the Universe and even injured Li Xiandao. Although Li Xiandao was within the Bank of the Universe and couldn't be killed, he would still feel pain. Chu Bai hesitated, Master, Ling Ren is really strong and the family behind her is even stronger. That is okay. When the time comes you will know that actually our Bank of the Universe is even stronger. Li Xiandao smiled confidently. She was just a human celestial. Human celestials were deemed fake celestials. She was indeed stronger than him now, but he wouldn't fear her. I will spend some time in Legacy Hall to discuss the Dao with them. When that happens, I will easily deal with the human celestials. Legacy Hall said confidently. He had never been afraid. All of you go and rest, Chu Bai you too. The higher your cultivation, the happier I am, then, I won't need to do anything. Li Xiandao said calmly. Master, I will work hard. Chu Bai said with determination. Li Xiandao smiled as all of them left. When they were all gone, Li Xiandao said, 7, massage me. No 7 scoffed and didn't agree to his request. Li Xiandao sighed, that person pierced my heart just now, it hurts. 7's expression changed. She knew that Li Xiandao was faking it but she still looked at him. Li Xiandao continued, 7, for the Bank of the Universe, and for you, I work so hard. My back is really sore. You are doing so for the Bank of the Universe. How is it that you are doing it for me? 7 reminded Li Xiandao not to talk nonsense. In the Bank of the Universe, you are the most precious thing. I am working hard for the Bank of the Universe and also for you. Li Xiandao tried to reason. 7 looked at him in disdain, who knows how many women you have said that to. Although she said that, she still walked over and told Li Xiandao to lay down on the mattress. Li Xiandao was delighted. As expected, women didn't mean what they said. In the end, she still helped massage him. I have only said this to you, and in the future, I won't say it to anyone else. Li Xiandao was firm. I would be a fool if I believed you. 7 said coldly. She started to massage Li Xiandao's back. Li Xiandao could hear the coldness in her words. He sighed helplessly and found it really hard to coax her. However, as he enjoyed the massage on his back, he felt really satisfied. Although it was painful and not really comfortable, it proved that this was 7's first time. Could Li Xiandao not be satisfied when she gave him her first massage? What Li Xiandao didn't see was that when 7 said those cold words, her face flushed red. There was a clear contrast between her tone and her face. She was as shy as a flower. At that moment, 7 was more beautiful than anything else. Unfortunately, Li Xiandao didn't see any of it as he had his eyes closed while 7 massaged him. At Eternal Land, there were numerous palaces floating in the air. This was the Celestial family. Ling Ren was an elder in this family and she had just attacked Li Xiandao. Damn, he is so bold. A cultivator from a lowly world dares to try such a thing. Ling Ren was furious. She was born beautiful like Chu Bai, but Chu Bai had the image of a girl next door while she was a strict and picky sister-in-law. Ling Ren's face turned green. She looked through the worlds and stared at ancient desolate land in rage. Her clone had birthed its own consciousness and wanted to flee? Preposterous. The clone knew many of her secrets. She even knew about how many men she had slept with. Among them, there were many who were married men. If she broke out of their control, wouldn't that be a huge problem for her? Thinking about how her matters would spread across the world, Ling Ren couldn't take it anymore. Men! Ling Ren hollered. She was really aggressive as she stood on the clouds. Purple Gold Warrior greets Elder. A warrior dressed in purple old armor greeted. Ling Ren sized up the Purple Gold Warrior carefully and asked, "What cultivation technique do you train in?" "I cultivate in the War God Zhao Wuji's spear technique, the Invincible Dao." The Purple Gold Warrior replied. "War God Zhao Wuji's spear technique is really decent. Your cultivation is at Countless Sands realm, so head to ancient desolate land and kill 2 people for me." Ling Ren said coldly. "Who?" The warrior in purple gold armor asked coldly. He only cared about killing people and didn't ask for the reason. Li Xiandao waved her sleeves and a vision appeared of Li Xiandao in a dark, gold mask and also Chu Bai. "Kill them and turn their bones to dust." Ling Ren said furiously. She looked at Chu Bai who looked the same as her but was much purer than she was, she couldn't help but feel jealous. "You were my clone and you want to leave me? Impossible." The Purple Gold Warrior memorized what Li Xiandao and Chu Bai looked like. "I will head to ancient desolate land right away." "Go." If it weren't for the world barrier restrictions, I would personally cross worlds to kill them. Ling Ren said regretfully. She really wanted to personally kill them both, but due to the world barrier, people with high cultivations were unable to enter lowly worlds. Ling Ren was at human celestial realm. This was a really high realm, exceeding what ancient desolate land could accept. So, she couldn't enter. But the Purple Gold Warrior could. He was only at Countless Sands grade 18 and didn't exceed the limit. "I will stop at all costs to complete the mission." The Purple Gold Warrior stood up and headed towards the world-grade teleportation formation. In families like Ling Ren's, a world-grade teleportation formation was a basic thing and they would have had several of them. The Purple Gold Warrior used it to enter the ancient desolate land. Ling Ren looked at the warrior leave and her rage lessened a little. She scoffed coldly, "You know so many secrets and dare to break free from me. You are just asking to die." At ancient desolate land, Li Xiandao was enjoying 7's massage and slowly fell asleep. 7 looked at him with a gentle expression. She squatted down to look at his face. She didn't say anything. After looking at him for a while, her face turned red and she went to fetch a blanket to help cover him. It definitely wasn't because she was afraid that Li Xiandao would feel cold. Just at that moment, a purple gold armored warrior appeared through ancient desolate lands world-grade teleportation formation. Hong! The strong aura of someone from Countless Sands Stage 18, spread about in the world. Normal people, even Dao Saints might not have been able to notice it, but those at Countless Sands realm definitely could. An expert had arrived.